Angela ma'am. Angela ma'am.
Yes, sir.
We can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest, Mr. K.S. Dev Senapati, hailing from Karur, Tamil Nadu. Ms. Dev Senapati is a seasoned professional with an impressive 18 years of experience in the financial service industry. His expertise spans across investment banking, investment consulting, and in individual wealth and pension businesses. With a strong academic foundation, Mr. Dev Senapati holds a bachelor's degree in technology from Pondicherry University and a master's degree in e-commerce from the University of Sussex, UK. Throughout his illustrious career, Mr. Dev Senapati has held various leadership roles at prominent organizations, including HSBC Global Markets, Mercer Investment Consulting, and LNG Individual Wealth and Pensions. Today we are honored to have Mr. Dev Senapati to share his insights and expertise with us. Please join, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share my expertise or experience with you guys. And thanks for inviting on this particular event. I just provide a warm afternoon welcome to all the guests and the organizers. So let's start with this particular session. So what I'm going to speak today is about regulation metrics and ratings for ESG in global markets investments that has an impact on the climate change initiatives, which is very relevant to this particular seminar. And we're going to go into that. Okay, so let's start with it. I'd like to make it as much interactive as possible, so you guys can raise the questions, and I'll try to answer as much close to my knowledge as possible. So as Angela madam mentioned, just a quick overview of my profile, where I have been working on. I nearly have like 18 years of core London markets financial experience, pretty much covered front office to back office in most of the investment banking firms and individual wealth and fund management companies as well. So what's the agenda for today? What are we going to speak about? So I'm going to start by explaining the climate change impact, which is a global problem. Going to give a couple of quotes of what Mahatma Gandhi has mentioned about sustainability, which is still relevant today. I'm going to speak about the conferences of parties, COP. I don't know if most of them have heard about it, but that's the COP standards and COP conferences are the ones which are actually addressing the global climatic crisis that we are facing at the moment. I'm going to speak about climate change initiatives, key actors in the global financial markets, global investment needs to meet climate actions, global financial market investment types to meet climate actions, top climate themed investment products gaining attention in the financial markets. And I'm going to start by explaining what ESG ratings means and what sort of metrics the regulators are looking for, who the regulators are, what's the future of ESG, how do you connect the ESG with the climate change initiatives, and we open the floor for question and answers. I hope everyone is okay with that. So let's start with climate change impact. It's a global problem at the moment. It's not it's not bound by any borders, and it's not particular to a particular country. It's kind of impacting the entire world and all living beings, not just humans, forests, trees, animals. It impacts everyone and all our lives. So we should be really concerned about and educate ourselves about climate change and how it impacts us. So what are the key problems in terms of climate change? Number one is a rising global temperature. So global temperatures have increased by approximately 1.1 degrees centigrade since the pre-industrial era. Consequences include more frequent and intense heat waves, melting glaciers, and disrupted weather patterns. I'm pretty much sure that you guys must have noticed all these changes even very close to your neighborhood. And also, you must have heard a lot about the news. As we speak at the moment, we have a major storm called Storm Dara, which is going on in UK at the moment, with nearly 90 miles per hour wind speeds that are hitting the western coast of UK up to the Northern Ireland and Scotland. So it's not a far-fetched issue that we are discussing. It's very active and it is very relevant to our day-to-day lives, and it impacts each and every one of us. So we should be really educating ourselves of what the climate impacts are and how we can remediate it. So, what are the second major impact? Extreme weather events, increased intensity of hurricanes, floods, wildfires, and droughts. That's what I just explained. Some of the examples has been the 2023 wildfires in Canada and record-breaking floods in Libya caused by widespread destruction and displacements. 3 is rising sea levels. The melting ice, glaciers, sheets, and thermal expansions of oceans are causing sea levels to rise. Coastal cities like Miami, Jakarta, and Mauritius, and a number of million peoples and livelihoods who are living in such low-lying areas are all impacted by this rising sea levels. Ecosystem disruption. So there's many species struggle to adapt, leading to biodiversity loss. I'm pretty much sure that you guys must have experienced the habitat of a lot of living beings around your neighborhood and how it's changing, how the climate change is impacting it. I have seen personally myself, but also you must have heard a much bigger carbon sink, which is Amazon rainforest. And pretty much most of the living beings in Amazon rainforest is all impacted by the changing weather patterns and the heat waves that's causing wildfires in Amazon. So ecosystem disruption is a big issue. Another example is coral reefs are bleaching due to warmer oceans, endangering marine lives that depends on them. Number 5 is the agricultural and food security. Changes in weather patterns disrupt crop cycles, reducing yields. Regions reliant on rain-fed agriculture, such as sub-Saharan Africa, faces severe food shortages. So this again is something you must have experienced in the uh, South Indian regions or any of the agri regions you must have exposed to, and how changing weather patterns are impacting the crop cycle. Next bigger impact is water scarcity. Droughts and reduced freshwater availability affects drinking water, sanitation, and irrigation. By 2025, an estimated 1.8 billion people might face absolute water scarcity. So this is not something 10 years or 50 years down the line. This is just next year. We are around the corner. Human health is another impact. So rising temperatures increase the spread of diseases like malaria and dengue. Heat waves and air pollution contribute to respiratory and cardiovascular problems. And so many more waterborne diseases, airborne diseases. These all spread very easily when there's more floods and waterlogging happening due to adverse weather conditions caused by climatic change. Next bigger impact is the economic impact. Disasters linked to climate change cost billions annually in damages. This again, you must have noticed not only in India, but some other countries where how the disasters, how much it is costing the treasuries to rebuild societies, rebuild infrastructures, and how much it costs for them to come back to normalcy and the economic impact on subsequent budgets. Social and political tensions is another impact. So climate migration, so rising sea levels and extreme weather forces people to leave their homes, creating climate refugees. This again is very prevalent in number of sub-Saharan countries, thus forcing people who has been dependent on livelihood that has been impacted heavily by the climate change and how they are becoming a refugee because of that. Resource scarcity leads to conflicts over water, arable land, and energy. So if the water is widespread across the world, you don't really have to like for people to move over to different areas or to fight for resources which when it becomes very scarce. That again applies to agricultural crops. So if the crops fail, the yield will go down, and that again will have a feedback impact on resource availability or grains availability and how that will lead to conflicts. And that's a feedback loop system on terms of the impact. So thawing permafrost releases methane, a potent greenhouse gas, further accelerating warming. So what it means is if the world becomes warmer, that again feeds back to the loop of making it even more warmer. So loss of polar ice reduces Earth's ability to reflect sunlight, intensifying warming. So in total, the impact of climate change is escalating, and immediate global action is crucial to mitigate its effects and build resilience for future generations. And no one can deny that this is the biggest challenge humanity is facing at the moment. So, our father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi, has had a bigger view of sustainability and about the earth and how we have to depend on each other. And some of his quotes are still relevant today. So, what we do today is our future. Nature has enough for our needs, but not for our greed. Live simply so that others may simply live. You may never know what results come of your actions, but if you do nothing, there'll be no result. Be the change you wish to see in the world. The earth, the air, the land, and the water are not an inheritance from our forefathers, but a loan from our children. So we have to hand over to them at least as it was handed over to us. What we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. So just imagine how his course has been so much relevant in the climate crisis we are in today. So what is humanity is doing about it? So we know the problem. We know that we have to do something about it. If not, it's not just our generations, the future generations are going to be impacted. So what are the leaders of the world doing about it? So there is this uh, organization or it's called a conference of parties called COP in simple terms, which focuses on the climate change. And there was a mandate that was put together to um, reduce or to at least not make the world more warmer compared to the pre-industrial era, and possibly to take actions so that we can reduce our emissions in way that it would probably reduce the temperature of the earth in the longer run. So focus on climate. So what does a COP really do? So it's a global agreements and decisions about climate change and actions. So who are the signators of this COP conferences? There are nearly 195 countries and the European Union. They are parties of this conference, and they have voting rights. On top of that, there are many other observer members, which are like NGOs and scientific communities. They all become like they have their view fed into this organization. So what does COP do? So they focus on climate change. So COP meetings are part of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, which was established in 1992 to address global warming and its effects. Annual gatherings, COP meetings, are held every year. So bringing together representatives from nearly 200 countries to review progress and negotiate actions to combat climate change. So they don't really look at their own country. So this participation by nearly 200 countries, they look at the world as one in terms of climate action. So the major milestones, which is the Kyoto Protocol 1997 and Paris Agreement 2015, were significant outcomes of COP meetings. The Paris Agreement aims to limit the global warming to well below 2 degrees centigrade and ideally to 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. So what is the COP mandate? The mandate of COP, Conference of Parties, under the United Nations framework, is to drive international cooperation in addressing climate change. And here's what COP aims to achieve. So it reviews the progress, assess how well countries are implementing their commitments under the United Nations Convention and agreements like Kyoto Protocol and Paris agreements. It ensures transparency in reporting emissions, mitigation efforts, and adaptation measures. So what it does is every year when it tries to have this conference in a place, they will try to work out for each and every country what the last year's emissions were and what sort of actions they have taken and what they need to do going forward. And it also sets like global climate goals, not just specific to a country. So it established global targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions to combat global warming. It agrees on policies to limit temperature increases, again, by 1.5 degrees centigrade. So it has been happening like every single year, and there's been change, like improvements, and there's positive step forward. So what has been what has been the most recent COP delegate and agenda has been? So the latest COP climate goal focuses on accelerating global efforts to combat climate change, emphasizing renewable energy and reducing dependency on fossil fuels. These goals are part of ongoing negotiations and require significant global cooperation to ensure timely and effective implementation. The next COP 30 is going to be in Belém, Brazil. Will continue advancing these targets. So the key objectives from recent discussions include phasing of fossil fuels. So for the first time, COP28 recognized the need to transition away from fossil fuels, which are gasoline, petrol, diesel, aerospace diesel, coal. So pretty much anything that we dig out of our earth is a fossil fuel. So they have recognized that humanity cannot sustain with burning fuel that we get from the ground. So we need to move to renewable sources and become more sustainable. While this represents progress, implementation strategies remain a contentious topic, with some nations pushing back on ambitious timelines. So what it means is that they have an overall goal for the entire world as 2050, but individual countries choose to set their own goals before 2050. Say, for example, take UK, for instance. They said they're going to phase out all the petrol and diesel cars by 2030 initially. Then they moved the target to 2035. And they now are saying that there's going to be only 10% of the ICE, which is the internal combustion engine vehicles, going to be sold by that time. So individual countries can kind of set their own ambitious goals to reduce the emissions, but the COP will set the overall goal for the entire world. So What's the next agenda, the discussion topic recently, is to scale and renewable energy. So there is a target to triple renewable energy generation globally by 2030. This aligns with the broader aim to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And the third biggest discussion has been about climate finance and adaptation. So commitments include increasing financial support for vulnerable nations, operationalizing the loss and damage funds, and doubling climate adaptation finance by 2025. These steps aim to help countries adapt to climate impacts and build resilience. So, in a way, that what they're saying is that if a country is ambitious enough to cut their emission goals, they should not be restricted by the amount of finance that's available for them. So they're kind of opening up the world, the opening up the global financial markets, so that every country's ambitious goals can be met in a timely fashion. So so the reason I'm explaining this, I'm trying to come back to why the financial sector or the global financial markets are key in terms of achieving these goals, which in turn would reduce or fix the problems that we have in the first place about the climate emergency that we are in. So what other things they do? So they do negotiate the binding agreements, which is like the Kyoto Protocol 1997, Paris Agreement 2015. So trying to come up with common agreements signed by nearly 200 countries, it's not a simple deal. So they put a lot of effort. Every single country would send their group or a team of negotiators, and because every single country will have different kind of uh, um, um, reliance on fossil fuels or reliance on something which is going to change because of the climate goals. So they all will have their own set of negotiating terms, but still they'll come up with a common agreement to push forward the entire humanity move forward. So what other things they do? So they mobilize financial support, main thing. So facilitate funding mechanisms such as the Green Climate Fund to assist developing countries to adapt to climate change and transition to low carbon economies. Ensure developed nations meet their financial commitments, such as a promise of $100 billion dollars to be paid annually, which is something which is agreed recently. Promote adaptation and resilience. So support nations, especially vulnerable ones, which are like low-lying or exposed to rising sea levels, in adapting to climate impacts. Foster technology transfer and capability building initiatives to help countries mitigate and adapt effectively. Say, for example, if a country has got a technology which will help some other countries to move forward in achieving the climate goals, they would probably share those technologies as part of the whole COP initiative. And it encourages collaboration, bring together governments, NGOs, businesses, and other stakeholders to share knowledge and work collectively on innovating solutions. Foster inclusivity, ensuring that all countries, especially those most affected, have a voice in decision making. Monitor and enhance implementation. So develop frameworks for tracking progress on nationally determined contributions is called NDCs, which are country-specific climate action plans under Paris Agreement. So as I told you before, there's a global plan and there's a country-specific climate plan. So when India goes to the next COP conference, they would agree on a list of actions for the next upcoming year, and they would probably come back and they will include that in the next budget and have policies that are created specific to the particular country, or in this case, India. I'm just giving an example. So so we had the most recent COP that happened last year has been the COP 28, which happened between November 30th and December 12th, 2023. It was held in Dubai. So the updates from COP28 include several significant climate goals and agreements. These outcomes demonstrate a mix of ambition and the urgency required to address climate changes, though gaps remain in the areas of implementation commitments from all the stakeholders. So what have they agreed last year has been number one, they want to do a global stock take. So for the first time, the conference conducted a comprehensive review of global progress on climate action under the Paris Agreement. The resulting document calls for measures like tripling renewable energy capacity, doubling energy efficiency improvements globally. It also emphasizes reducing methane emissions significantly. So fossil fuel transition, a major highlight was the call to phase out unabated fossil fuels in the fair and orderly manner. This marked an important step towards achieving the net zero emissions by 2050. And you must have heard from the news and everywhere that India has got its own net zero emission target by 2050. Loss and damage fund. So the last COP28 operationalized a dedicated fund to help vulnerable countries cope with the impact of climate change. The fund will prioritize support for least developed countries and small island developing states and will be initially managed by the World Bank. Adapting goals. New commitments aim to double adapting financing and improve resilience through measures addressing water security, ecosystem restoration, and health, with clear targets set for 2030. So another major point has been about renewables and energy efficiency. So countries pledged to triple global renewable energy capacity to 11,000 gigawatt hour and double energy efficiency improvements by 2030. This initiative is essential because the more we move out of burning coal or burning gas for generating electricity into renewables, the more carbon we can stop injecting more carbon into the atmosphere, which will eventually would slow down the warming of the planet. And also, they discussed last year about global cooling pledge. So a new initiative includes commitments from 66 countries to reduce emissions from cooling systems by 68% by 2050 compared to 2022 levels. And then they also discussed about financing goals. So the conference also highlighted the importance of scaling up climate finance. So developed nations were called upon to deliver $500 billion annually to support developing countries, including $150 billion for loss and damages. So the reason this whole point came up was that industrialized nations like G7 countries has been burning a lot more fossil fuels for a very long time in terms of progressing their economies to be the most developed. However, if you just turn the tap off at the moment, so that is it's not a balance between uh, developing and developed countries, so G7 countries, that they have done a significant damage long time back. So which means there should be some sort of compensation from the G7 back to the developing countries and on all for them to meet the climate goals. So that was the whole point about that. So when is the next COP conference? So COP 29 is happening at the moment. So it started in Baku, Azerbaijan, and it started December 2nd, and it's ongoing until December 13th. So it is happening at the moment. So you guys can watch the space to see what kind of agreements come out of this conference. So some of the key updates from this year's conference about loss and damage fund. So the operationalization of this fund established during COP27 is a major focus. It aims to provide financial support to vulnerable countries affected by climate-related disasters, with current pledge nearly $700 million. However, significant additional funding is needed to meet the global needs. The second topic that is currently under discussion is about climate finance. Again, efforts are underway to create a new global climate finance goal to replace a $100 billion annual target from the Paris Agreement era. This includes initiatives like Climate Finance Action Fund and aim for a $1 billion annually from the fossil fuel producing entities. So what they're trying to say is that the entities that has been producing fossil fuels for a long period of time, they want to have a share of their profits being put into this this fund, which will eventually be directed to meeting the climate goals. And they want to set up like a national commitments. So many countries are expected to announce updated national determined contribution. This is what I told you earlier. So this NDC is something which is updated every year based on the actions that individual countries meet and also what they're going to do for the following year. And this is to enhance emission reduction with stronger targets for 2030 and a new set of goals for 2035. So they want most countries not to have a very long goals like 2050 goals. Rather, they want to like have a more measured short-term goals as well, and to meet that. Adaptation finance. So the discussion is all centered around closing the adaptation finance gap, which requires hundreds of billions of dollars annually to support developing nations in dealing with climate risks. As sectoral goals, the summit emphasizes the need for targeted action across sectors such as energy, transportation, and agriculture to align within that 1.5-degree warming limit. So that's all about the COP in terms of it is a very significant and the only conference that's happening in the world, which is a collection of the entire humanity. And they are the one who are collectively addressing the climate emergency we are in at the moment. So what are some of the climate change initiatives? So we have discussed about okay, how the humanity is dealing with it, the problem. Now we need to discuss about what sort of initiatives that comes out of these conferences, and what are they good? How do they progress? Like what are measured initiatives that comes out of it? So as I told you earlier, the first one is a nationally determined contribution, which is individual countries to set targets and they meet their targets on a yearly basis. Second one is, as I told you, is a loss and damage fund, to create a common fund for all the loss and damages and to assist countries who are not able to meet the NDCs that they declare. Number 3 is about carbon neutrality. So many countries, cities, and companies have committed to becoming carbon neutral by mid-century. This includes reducing emissions and compensating for unavoidable emissions through carbon offset projects like reforestation. Say, for example, if you take the airline industry. So as of today, we do not really have a viable technology to convert all our long-haul flights to be net zero kind of aeroplanes. We cannot stop burning the fossil fuel for the entire airplane industry. That's not possible as of today because the technology is not evolved yet. So until the time comes, they want to measure the total output of the carbon from such industries and to compensate that by other means. So the other means could be through reforestation or afforestation, and also through technological means like carbon capture. It's a new technology that's coming up, and also like providing or developing carbon sinks. That's another technology which is in development at the moment. So these are areas where the carbon neutrality is measured on an industry basis. With shipping industry, there's some significant progress in the last couple of years. The Norwegian countries has made some progress in terms of electrifying or using net zero or carbon neutral measures or energy sources like hydrogen and other kind of sources to bring down their carbon emission. But again, this is not something that's going to change the entire shipping industry overnight. It's going to take some time. And until that point, the entire conference, they want to, in a measured way, they want to manage this whole transition in a very measured way. So that's the whole thing about the initiative of setting up a new green climate fund. So they created under the UNFSCC, the GSG, which is the Green Climate Fund supports developing countries in reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. It mobilizes finance from developed countries to support projects that align with the Paris climate goal. And then they also set up new initiatives for net zero emission targets. That's for 2030, which is the intermediate target. And there is an initiative called the Global Methane Pledge. So this was launched in COP26. The Global Methane Pledge aims to cut global methane emissions by 30% by 2030. I don't know if you guys would know that compared to carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, methane is a much potent greenhouse gas. It can warm the planet much faster compared to carbon dioxide emissions. This initiative targets one of the most potent greenhouse gas, which is, as I mentioned, has a much higher immediate warming potential than CO2, as I mentioned earlier. Then the another initiative is a sustainable development goals, specifically about climate action, which emphasize the need for urgent action to combat climate change. Many initiatives are aligned with these goals, focusing on reducing emissions, promoting renewable energy, and improving resilience. They created a new chapter called Global Biodiversity Framework, which aimed at halting biodiversity loss. This framework highlights the interconnection between biodiversity conservation and climate change mitigation. So what it means is that you have ecosystem in every part of the world, which kind of is being affected by the climate change. So they wanted to connect this biodiversity or on a micro level with the climate change that's happening in that level and in that area. So, for example, I would say that if if there's a flood in a country, and if that particular country has got a biodiverse list of species of, say, for example, insects, from insects to animals, they wanted to link what sort of changes that's happening due to the climate impact, and what sort of impact that is causing to the biodiversity in that particular area, and they want to do it for the entire world. So that's a framework that's been developed. Again, they want to do climate finance initiatives. So a major part of climate action is securing finance for mitigating and adaptation efforts in developing countries. The Climate Finance Action Fund has been set up, which was established in Azerbaijan. It aims to raise $1 billion annually, not one-off. It goes like every 1 billion every year, and they possibly is looking to increase it in the future. And it supports, the fund would support renewable energy and climate projects in vulnerable regions. And it collectively, and it addresses the complex and interlinked challenges of climate change, emphasizing global collaboration and action across sectors and regions. So what sort of areas does this fund focuses on? So it focuses on adaptation and resilience. It focuses on health and climate change. How is the health being impacted? It focuses on sustainable agriculture and food systems. So in December 2023, 159 nations endorsed the Emirates Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture. So this historic commitment includes integrating sustainable food systems into national climate plan, reducing food loss and waste, and scaling up adaptation for farmers. This initiative aims to overhaul the global food and land systems, which are major contributors to the emissions. So for the first time, they are not looking regionally the agricultural sector and the needs of the food needs of that particular area. Rather, they are looking globally across 159 nations of how the food is created, how the food is produced, and how the food is consumed, how it is stored, how it is wasted, how it's transported. So they're looking at the entire supply chain of food and addressing the demand for the food as well, and to make it more sustainable in the longer run. They wanted to also the fund also focuses on energy grid modernization. So you might know that the energy grid that's currently in use, it's not exactly the same across the world. So there are grids which are more smarter and modern, and it's calibrated for the new renewable energy sources. And there are grids in the world which are really old and has got quite a lot of losses in the during the transmission. So this fund looks at modernizing the entire grid, and in terms of distributing the renewable energy, specifically the renewable energy, as you know, the renewable energy which are generated out of solar or wind or any other sources, they are not in a continuous nature. So you cannot really, unlike like coal or gas or nuclear, you cannot turn on and turn off based on the demand for the energy. Say, for example, if middle of the day, the demand of the entire country is sometimes during the summer is not that much. Whereas during a winter time in Europe, during the night time, the demand is much higher. So if you want, and that is normally the grid would adapt to it easily, because a coal power plant or a nuclear power plant, it can be adjusted according to the demand much more easily compared to renewable plants that we currently have, like windmill farms or solar farms. It doesn't produce the energy consistently all the time. Although there are number of technological advancements that has already been come into play, like for example using satellites to measure the weather patterns and adjusting the load of the wind farms accordingly, and also looking at the solar indexes and looking at forecasting the solar generation, and also improving the efficiency of the solar panels using bifocal solar panels. And there is new perovskite solar panels that is currently in research in Oxford in UK, which is a very promising area of development, because it seems to be providing a much greater efficiency compared to silicon-based solar panels. And there are even talks about having a hybrid solar panels in the future, which combines perovskite and silicon sometime in the future. So, so all these changes in technology does help in giving more certainty to the grid, and a better forecast with modern algorithms or energy algorithms. However, there's still this fundamental issue that the nature of renewable energies are not consistent, and in order to mitigate that, the technological developments are needed, and the grid has to be modernized. So a number of areas where the research currently are focusing or trying to use high heavy transmission lines using higher kilowatt DC current from a source to destination. So that there is a project that is currently underway in UK, for example, which they are trying to build a new transmission line which are higher voltage DC current from northern UK, from where it's getting. So there is a massive wind farm in the North Sea in UK where too much amount of renewable energy is generated, but it doesn't get properly transmitted to the users in the southern UK. So there is some project which is going on to do that. And also there is a number of projects going on in terms of integrating the solar panels of individual businesses and rooftop solar panels to a smarter grid using software, in such a way that you buy your electricity from your neighbors before you buy from the grid, so that to lower the demand on the grid. And also there's a new technology called vehicle to grid, whereby your electric vehicle could be charged by the grid when the energy is more abundant, and it can be used by the grid when the energy needs are much higher. So to again, these are, and also there's AI developments in the energy grid management. So these are new developments that are coming on a day, like a year by year. There's more changes coming in, and a lot of money is going into that kind of area as well of research. But we are still not there completely. But the entire COP is trying to facilitate these funds so that as a whole we can achieve that kind of renewable energy, sustainable renewable energy, and depending on renewable energy day in day out for all the countries somewhere in the future. So that's the dream of the entire COP outcome. Let me just go to 15 minutes. Let me just slide through some more. So we have looked at COP, we have looked at climate change initiatives. Now we are going to look at the global finance market and how and what's the relation between these climate action initiatives or the climate goals and the financial market. So that's the next section of this particular session. So the global finance markets involves a wide range of actors, so each playing a specific role in facilitating the flow of capital and ensuring market stability. So these actors work in a complex, interconnected environment, with each playing a role in providing capital, ensuring liquidity, managing risk, and fostering economic growth. So I just listed some of the key actors in the entire financial markets. Number one is always the governments and the central banks. So they are on top of the global financial chain. So the governments and central banks are crucial for creating the regulatory framework and monetary policies that influence financial markets. So central banks manages interest rates, inflation, and national currency stability. Governments through agencies like treasuries or central banks agencies or like mostly treasuries also influence fiscal policies and regulations that shape market dynamics. So they ensure. So I don't know how many people heard about 2008 financial crisis. I have seen the crisis. I was in trading floor at that time. It started with the US subprime market crunch, which caused Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the bursting of the Lehman Brothers. And it kind of had a ripple effect affecting most of the financial institutions across the world. So as of today, the financial market or global financial market is highly interconnected and highly dependent on each other. The health of the market has to be established or has to be ensured that uh, the crisis doesn't repeat in the future, like 2008 crisis. Nothing gets repeated in the future. So the world's central banks and the governments, they play a vital role in ensuring that the global financial markets health is very good all the time, and any any lessons they learn from the past crisis are not repeated again in the future. So they constantly develop new regulatory frameworks, and they would update their existing regulatory framework to ensure that these kind of crises or crashes doesn't happen in the future. The second biggest actors are the commercial banks. So these are institutions that provide financial services to the publics, uh, including loans, mortgages, and savings accounts. They also facilitate the clearing and settlements of financial transactions. Major commercial banks like JP Morgan, Citigroup, and HSBC are central players in both domestic as well as the international financial market. So you can look at that. The governments and central banks create the frameworks, and these commercial banks and the investment banks, they operate and they provide services in multiple layers under this framework. So then next we have investment banks. So that's where I used to work before. Investment banks such as Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Deutsche Bank focus on large-scale financial services like mergers and acquisition, issuing securities, and trading financial assets. They also facilitate corporate financing through public offerings and private placements. So the reason why I'm mentioning about these banks are that if you look at any new solar farms or wind farms or like bioethanol factories or any like new investments that meets the climate goals, they are funded through these particular global market systems. So that's the reason that I'm trying to explain how the global financial markets is a very key player in for the humanity and for the COP goals to be achieved in a timely manner. So next we have hedge funds and private equity firms. So these hedge funds and private equity firms are called the buy side of the financial market, whereas the investment banks and commercial banks, they are called the sell side of the financial market. They can also be buy side sometime. So hedge funds and private equity firms invest in diverse assets from equities to real estates. With a focus on high returns, they often take more aggressive approaches to investing, including short selling and leveraged capital, examples like Bridgewater Associates and Blackstone's. However, these funds, since they are like uh, providing lucrative returns for the investors, they ensure the liquidity in the market. So that market, only if there's liquidity in the market, these new projects to meet climate goals can be achieved in a very timely fashion. Say, for example, a company is trying to build a 5 megawatt wind or solar farms, and if they want to add 5 more megawatts once they are nearing completion, if they want to, only if they have the liquidity in the market, they can issue bonds and they can raise capital, or they can sell shares, or they can get funds to invest in their projects. Then we have the retail investors or individual participants in the market, financial markets, usually trading stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or other financial instruments. These investors typically trade through brokers or online trading platforms. The rise of robo-advisors and apps like Robinhood has made it easier for retail investors. Although I'm just saying that retail investors doesn't make the major portion of the global capital markets. They are a portion, but they are not the biggest portion. The biggest portions are formed by the market makers, who are the investment banking and the hedge funds and the pension funds. So pension funds is another one of the biggest capital provider in the market. So pension funds invest the savings of the workers to provide income upon retirement. So these funds often have long-term investment horizons and hold large portfolios, typically in equities, bonds, real estate. Example include the California Public Employee Retirement System, or there's number of pension. Even UK has got a national pension fund. India has got some equivalent pension funds. So the good thing about pension funds, they are unlike hedge funds. They hold much bigger capital, and they have a much bigger buying power or investment power, so that bigger projects can be realized through pension funds. And sovereign wealth fund. So this is another interesting type of fund, which is very it's not like all the countries have got a sovereign wealth fund. Some other countries have got it, but it is one of the funds where it has got a much higher purchase power. So sovereign wealth funds such as Norway Government Pension Fund, which is one of the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world, manages national savings. So just think about every single citizen in the country is investing on one fund, and the fund is managed by the government, which means it provides a much bigger capital to realize bigger projects. It manages national savings, often derived from surplus revenue like oil exports in Norway. They invest in a variety of assets, including stocks, bonds, and infrastructure projects. So, and I heard that even India has got a sovereign wealth fund being developed recently, and even UK is attempting to do something very similar recently. They mentioned in the budget recently. One of the biggest sovereign wealth fund which I heard about after Norway is the Qatari sovereign wealth fund. It's one of the biggest in the world. And next biggest area is called financial market regulators. So the regulators are not part of the government or central banks. They are independent from the government or central bank bodies. They are called regulatory bodies. For example, Securities and Exchange Commission in US, or European Securities and Market Authority called ESMA, Financial Contact Authority in UK, SEBI in India. So every single major country has got a regulator, market regulator, and they operate in a very independent fashion, and they enforces laws and regulations to maintain the market integrity and protect investors. And these regulators, they come up with a number of regulatory guidelines, and they keep updating on a yearly basis. And it is they ensure the due diligence of ensuring that the market is behaving with integrity, and it protects all the investors in the financial market. And the above mentioned actors like retail investors, pension funds, or asset managers, they have to comply with the regulations that are put out by the financial market regulators. If not, they will get fined properly. Then insurance companies play a dual role in global finance markets, providing risk management products and investing the premiums they collect. So large firms like Allianz or Prudential manage substantial portfolios in a wide range of asset classes. So insurance companies also play, they also they provide the risk management products, and also and also investing the premium they collect. So they kind of operate as a dual player in the financial world. Okay. So next one, we are going to look at the global investment needs to meet the climate action. So this is where, so I explained about the climate emergencies and actions, and I explained about the financial sector and who are the actors. And I'm going to look at what are the global investment needs to meet the climate actions that are put out by the COP. So nearly $6 trillion a year is needed for developing countries to meet the 2050 climate action targets. So that's a massive amount of equities and the liquidity that is needed, should be pumped into this whole climate action sectors in order to meet the goal. And what it means is it requires a major shift from traditional investments to those that support decarbonization and resilience. So think like, for example, take Shell or BP, who or Esso, who traditionally used to invest in fossil fuel projects, has to divert their funds, and they have to start investing in renewable sector, renewable energy generation, or transmission, or batteries, and storage batteries, flywheel energy storages, and all these kind of renewable energy storage, energy sources, generation and transmission. So those kind of projects, they have to divert the fund from the fossil fuel. So which is not that easy. And that transition is already started happening in the world, but it is not to the speed that is required by the COP. Global financial bodies like World Bank and IMF are working to create framework to encourage investments in climate solutions. So out of the entire investment sector in the world, the World Bank and IMF, they're creating like framework so that investors can be more confident in terms of allocating their funds to climate related investments rather than the traditional investments. So that's something which is ongoing at the moment. So to meet the global climate action target 2050, various financial vehicles and strategies are being employed, particularly in the private sector. So financial institutions are playing a critical role by making large-scale investments in clean technologies and green infrastructure. Say, for example, if a university or a company has got a new idea for a new battery technology, if they have to invest a lot of money into the research and development, or even after development, they have to scale up the battery to get to the market. They need a lot of money, and that money comes from the financial world. A key example is the Global Financial Alliance for Net Zero, so GFANZ, where over 450 financial institutions have pledged around $130 trillion to support climate goals. So these entities are focusing on sectors such as renewable energy, electric vehicles, and sustainable agriculture. That is a massive fund, $130 trillion. It's not possible for a set of governments to come up with that kind of money. It's a power of the it's a private financial markets, and these regulatory bodies are leveraging the existing climate goals in order to channel these or put up framework and channel these funds to the right entities to ensure that the climate goals are met. So they are also addressing barriers to climate investments through improved regulatory framework, as I mentioned before, better risk management, and collaboration with governments. Say, for example, if there is an investor, take Norwegian fund for as an example, if they have the appetite to invest in climate related investment vehicles, but there should be framework to ensure that their investments are protected and also risks are properly mitigated, and they collaborate properly with the government so that the entire investment process is properly oversighted by the regulatory framework, and it's a win-win for not only the climate action but also for the investing community. So investment is being directed into the sectors with high climate potential, like clean hydrogen, renewable energy, and storage technologies, which are expected to see cost reductions as they mature. The private sector's role, because if you take any new renewable technology, it's going to cost much higher in the start, but as it starts scaling up, the price will come down in the future. So the early adopters or the early investors are the one who's driving that change to ensure that, say, for example, take electric vehicles. It used to be the first electric vehicles used to be really, really expensive, very expensive. The first Teslas were quite expensive. And it's because of the early adapters and the early investors who invested in Tesla or BYD or any of those companies, they accelerated the industry to the level that it is more competitive now when the prices started falling, and the prices start falling because of the economics of scale. So the private sector's role is crucial not only in funding these sectors, but also in managing the long-term risks and returns associated with the climate action, leveraging the innovative financing mechanism, and creating joint ventures that involve multiple stakeholders. These financial vehicles aim to accelerate the transition to low carbon economy by ensuring that the necessary funding flows to the sectors that can make the most impact on global emissions and adaptation efforts. So while they do the investments, they look at the kind of investments that are lower in risk, but also has got a much higher impact in achieving the climate goals to start with. Say, for example, you take fusion energy. So fusion energy can have a bigger impact on meeting climate goal, but it cannot be realized in the next decade. And by that time, the climate emergency will be even much worse. So rather than prioritizing that, they will rather prioritize windmills and solar, which are much practical in terms of scaling up and making a positive impact on meeting the climate goals. So what are the different types of investments these investors choose to meet the climate actions? They choose green bonds. So these are bonds which are popular tools used by governments and corporations to raise funds specifically for projects with environmental benefits, such as renewable energy or energy efficiency. Say, for example, if a government or a private sector, or like, for example, Reliance or Kerala government or Karnataka government or Tamil Nadu government, if any of them has got a policy to develop or come up with a project to develop, say, 500 kilowatts or 1 megawatt of solar farm, what they do is the way they raise their money is through bonds, and these are called green bonds. And these green bonds are defined in the proper way, and then it gets integrated to the global financial market, and it gets invested, and a lot of investors, they invest in that bond, and that's how they raise the money to achieve the project. Sustainable and ESG investing, this is another area. So the criteria are now central to investment strategies. Investors use ESG metrics. So ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And there are certain metrics which we'll go through in a bit to identify companies with good environmental stewardship, strong governance, and social responsibility. This strategy involves screening investments to ensure that funds are directed towards companies with lower carbon footprints or those committed to sustainability. And the next one is called impact investment, impact investing. So impact investing refers to investments made with the intention of generating a measurable social or environmental impact alongside a financial return. So these kind of investments not only have a proper measured impact on the environmental, social, governance aspect of a particular company, but also it would provide a good return for the investors. So private equity and venture capital firms are increasingly directing their investments towards companies that develop or deploy innovative climate solutions. And that's one of the examples of impact investing. These venture capitalists, they look at startups who can have a higher impact on meeting the climate goals, at the same time would provide a greater return on their investment in the longer run. Next one is called climate themed funds. So these funds focus on specific areas of climate action, such as clean technology or renewable energy. These funds allow investors to target high impact sectors by investing in companies that contribute to reducing carbon emissions or increasing sustainability. This can include renewable energy infrastructure, which are like grid and battery storage, electric vehicles manufacturing, and carbon capture technology. So there's also climate risk management and private sector climate funds, carbon markets. That's a very crucial area. Carbon markets, both voluntarily and compliance-based, allow businesses to offset their carbon emission by investing in projects that reduce or capture greenhouse gases. I'll give you one good example for carbon market. It's called ZEV mandate, which is in Europe. It started in California. What it means is that, say, for example, take a car company which is not yet producing that many electric vehicles. They have a target to make their entire fleet to electric or zero emission vehicles by a particular percent. It's called a ZEV mandate, zero emission vehicle mandate. And if such car companies, if they cannot meet their requirement, they'll go and buy the carbon credits from a company who is already meeting or exceeding their ZEV mandate. Like for example, General Motors would go and buy ZEV or carbon credits from Tesla. So that's a very good example for a carbon market. And there are climate-linked structured products. Structured products such as green asset-backed securities are used to fund specific projects that contribute to climate action. These securities link the returns to environmental performance indicators, such as reduction of CO2 emissions from renewable energy generation. So what these kind of structured investment products, what they do is they will measure the total carbon dioxide emission reduction to the fund, so that by investing in the fund, you know exactly how much carbon dioxide the particular investor is reducing in the world. Okay, so what are the top climate-themed investment products gaining attention in the financial market at the moment? Climate transition funds, green bonds, as I told you earlier, renewable energy stocks, sustainable investment funds, ESG funds, ESG integrated equity and debt instruments, pension funds, impact investing products, which I mentioned earlier, real estate investment products, and insurance products. So these are some of the, not everything, but some of the top uh, investment product types which are gaining a lot more attention in the financial market. Okay, so we spoke quite a bit about ESG. So what is ESG? So ESG stands for environmental social governance. So ESG is a system used to evaluate how well a company or a government or an investment product manages the risks and the opportunities related to environmental, social, and governance factors. It is commonly provided by third-party rating agencies that assess the company's overall sustainability performance, and they provide the rating on a number of measures. Say, uh, like if, for example, if you take environment, how a company performs as a steward of the neutral or natural environment, including policies on emissions, resource usage, waste management, and sustainable practices. And if you take social, they look at how a company manages relationship with the employees, suppliers, customers, and commodities. I'll give you one example. For example, if there is a lithium cobalt battery manufacturer somewhere, and just take like X as a company, and they are being listed in the market, and the investor is looking at the ESG for their company, they look at how they are sourcing their raw materials. Like for example, they look at whether they are sourcing their cobalt from Congo, and whether that source has got any impact on child labor or anything in that area. So they look at the entire supply chain for a particular product or company or investment to see whether they are behaving in a very social way and responsible way. And third is G, which stands for governance. So they look at a company's leadership, a board's composition, business ethics, transparency, compliance with laws and regulations. So they look at a board of a company and look at how diverse the board is, whether they have got different kind of participation, for example, having a percentage of women empowerment in the board. That's one thing which is gaining a lot of attention in FTSE 100 companies in London, where there is a mandate to have at least 40% or 30% of their workforce to be, or especially the board members to be women, and to have diverse ethnicity from diverse ethnicity backgrounds. So these are some of the governance parameters they look at, and how well they're complying with the law, whether they're breaking any law in any of the countries, especially for multinational companies, whether they are properly adhering to the local laws in the markets they operate on. Okay, so who performs the analysis of these ESG and who provides these ratings? So there are few rating agencies. Let me just give you that. So one is called MSCI ESG ratings. MSCI rates companies on a scale from AAA to CCC based on the exposure to ESG risks and the ability to manage those risks related to the industry peers. So what they do is they measure the companies on these different metrics, and they provide a rating from AAA to CCC compared to their peers. And Sustainalytics is another company, part of Morningstar. I don't know if you heard Morningstar is an investment company. They provide ESG risk rating that assess the company's overall exposure to material ESG risks and how well it manages them. They use a scale from low to high. ISS ESG, Institutional Shareholder Services, that provides ESG rating and scores focusing on how companies handle ESG factors that affects their financial performance and risk management. And number 4 is S&P Global ESG Scores, which is a very famous ratings company. So they provide an ESG score based on the company's performance on various ESG categories, criteria, which can be important for investors looking to track sustainable investment options. Okay, so what are these metrics? So we talked about ESG, what it means, and who's providing it. So what kind of metrics they gather? So if you take the environment metrics, they look at the energy consumption of the company, water usage, wastewater output. And in terms of social metrics, they look at diversity and inclusion, as I told you before. So D&I is a big theme that's happening in pretty much most of the corporate companies, which I know, banks, everywhere it's happening here. So diversity and inclusion means how diverse their workforce is, and whether they have a workforce which is from different ethnic origins, which they include uh, people who are differently abled. So they do measures on a number of different levels. They look at the employee welfare, so how good a company is taking care of their employees. They look at human rights. So these are social factors or metrics. And there's governance metrics. They look at the board's composition of how, like as I told you before, what percentage of board is made up of women, and what percentage of board is from different ethnic backgrounds. So they look at all that. They look at business ethics, so whether the company is operating ethically in all the markets they operate on. So these are some of the metrics the ESG is measured on. So what are the future of ESG? So where are we going with this ESG? So because it's something which started recently, but where are we going? So sustainability into corporate strategies. So that's a very key thing. There's some new measures that will probably come out. How sustainable the companies. So I give you one example. There are few companies which produce a number of fast fashion clothing in the world, and these ESG will look at whether these fast fashion clothing are causing a lot more damage to the environment, or whether they are using renewable sources of fibers to produce new clothes, and whether they are producing durable clothes. Okay, I'll give one more example. Take Apple, for example. Recently, they made some of their products to be a bit more repairable, and so that the repair ratings are going up for their products. So that's needed so that the products can last longer, and also which means people don't have to replace their products much often. And one more example I can give is the European Union's push to make most electronic devices to use Type-C charging cable. That is to ensure that the fragmentation in cables, charging cables, doesn't cause a lot of landfills and pollution in the environment. Transparency in terms of how transparent or in terms of the activities, climate related disclosures. So every company to report on how much they impact the climate, especially carbon emissions and all that. Due diligence practices in environmental and social areas. ESG audit. ESG audit is a very upcoming area, and ESG tools, which are mostly AI related tools, which automatically measures a company's performance on ESG as it goes along. Connecting ESG to climate change initiatives. So how ESG investments drive capital actions. So funding renewable energy projects. So if an investor has got, as I told you before, $1 billion to invest in, and if they choose a particular fund which has got a good ESG rating and they invest on that, that fund probably will have a project which can meet the climate goal. So indirectly, a investor or indirectly, a ESG rating is responsible for meeting the climate action. So that's the whole point of this presentation, which I'm trying to explain you, that ESG ratings and the regulation behind the ESG ratings and the compliance of companies to publish the ESG ratings has got an indirect impact on meeting the climate goals set out by the COP standards. Um, so what are some challenges with this whole ESG and climate integration? So there are still gaps in the regulatory framework. So currently, some of the investment products are not required to publish the ESG metrics. It's been optional. So more gaps needs to be filled in the regulatory framework. There is a disparity in global adoption, so not the entire part of the financial market in the world is adopting the ESG standards. So there are still disparity, so that needs to be addressed. There's lack of standardization in the metrics. So as I told you, the metrics are produced by different companies, and there's no standardization at the moment. Some are providing metrics from low to high, some are providing from AAA to triple C. There's no proper standardization. There's some greenwashing risks happening at the moment. Say, for example, a company can falsify their ESG ratings by uh, uh, greenwashing their products in terms of saying that they actually make a positive contribution to the climate change, but actually they are not. Balancing the returns and responsibilities is not currently possible with the current framework. So these are some of the challenges that we have. So what are future trends with the ESG? So there's more AI involvement in ESG ratings and calculating it, as I told you before. And there's a strengthening of global ESG standards that's happening. There are more discussions going on that area. So we would see more framework changes that will come up in the future. Pretty much, I think I covered end to end, and we are 18 minutes, 19 minutes past an hour. I would like to open the floor for any questions and answers before we close the call. Hello.
Yes. Participants, do you have any questions?
I hope it is clear in terms of what I'm trying to explain, but do raise any questions. I'll try to answer as close as possible to what you're asking. I hope everyone is clear on questions. And thanks a lot for giving this opportunity. Then we can close the call.
Do you have audience? Do you have any questions? Okay. So no questions. I am thinking so. So
Okay.
let's see wind up the session. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation and conducting such an incredibly information session. So we are truly grateful for the time and effort for your dedicated to our gathering. Once again, thank you for your remarkable contribution. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. 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 So participants, the next session will start at 3:30. So please stay. Sir, Glenn, sir. Sir, the slide is not in the full screen, sir. Sir, Glenn, sir. Angela ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Angela ma'am. We can start.
It's with great pleasure that we welcome our distinguished resource person, Dr. G. Glandevadas, Professor and Director of the Directorate of Research and Innovation, as well as the Director in charge of IKSA CMR University, Bangalore. With an impressive 23 years of experience in the field of electronics and instrumentation engineering, Dr. Devadas has made significant contributions evident in his numerous scholarly publications, which include 67 articles in journals and presentations at international conferences. He has also organized 7 international conferences and 12 national seminars and workshops, demonstrating his commitment to advancing research and knowledge in his field. Furthermore, Dr. Devadas has guided 7 PhD scholars, published 4 book chapters, edited 4 books, and holds membership in 7 professional bodies, underscoring his active engagement in academics. We are truly honored to have him with us today, and I now hand over the session to him. Sir, please.
Sir, Glenn sir.
Oh. Okay. Is it audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Hope my screen is visible to all.
Okay, sir. It is visible, sir. It is in the full screen.
Okay. Okay then.
Okay, sir.
So yeah, we will start the session. Good afternoon to you all. It's nice to thank you for the nice introduction and inviting me for this faculty development program sponsored by ATAL Academy. I thank Vidya Academy and the organizers for inviting me for this session. And also they have selected the opt title, which was very relevant to that of the social important, like all the sustainability development goals and other things, like how we can incorporate it into that of the education. That is especially delivered to for that of the engineering education. So as an faculty members, you may aware of what is sustainability, and that is some subjects we are teaching like sustainability, life skills, some mandatory courses we are teaching according to this AICT's and the UGC's curriculum. and how effective that those subjects are, that how it is going to impact to that of the society, that is very important. So first we should have some discussion on this sustainability. So sustainability, we know that like our um, uh, yes, okay. So sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising ability to future generations to meet their own needs. That's a very good definition. Wherever we are referring about the sustainability, we will get this definition: meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So whether this is met or not, okay, that's what we are going to analyze in this today's session. And how, if it is not met, means how we are going to merge with our the STEM curriculum, and whether what is the Indian aspects of our UGC as well as the AICT directives. Based on that, the curriculum development design, we are doing it, how we are going to merge this sustainability, and how we are delivering it. That's a very important thing. So knowing the sustainability and practicing the sustainability, or for sustainability, or in sustainable, these two are some different aspects. Okay, we are all knowing about what is sustainability. The definition of sustainability, you will beautifully define it than that of any experts, since all of are on the sustainable world. We are calling everywhere that sustainable cities are there, and sustainable that energy, sustainable, all the things. Like for example, in ancient days, they are telling about that what white collar job, brown collar job. Nowadays, they are calling out certain green collar job. The green, everywhere the green is there. So what is green? How the green is going to impact the society, and what is the history of this green world nowadays? Frequently, we are talking about that green world, smart, intelligent, all the terminologies, all keywords are there. Everywhere you are going for the conferences, all the conference titles are like smart energy, green energy, and intelligent instruments. What it means actually, where we are going to, that what goal we are going to achieve using this keywords. Okay, just we are using that. We are very experts in keyword, and everywhere we are using the catchy words like that green, smart, and intelligent in our literatures while we are writing the papers. As an faculty members, we are generally using, especially that. Nowadays, there's a computing. People are using artificial intelligence, and everything is nowadays exploring such like uh, daily day to day that technology is going to develop, but how it is going to use for the society. Okay, so this sustainable development in 1980, not 1987, actually it's a history we are seeking, means that just 1600 onwards, the many discussions were there. The first one fiction was started in the 1600, the year AD. Okay, so that one article published for uh, that against the deforestation. Okay, that day, that year onwards, that deforestation was started, and how it is impact the society. Everything, lot of discussions were there, but those are not channelized. But in 1987 only, it is channelized by the United Nations. Okay, we know that United Nations, how it is powerful nowadays. United Nation is just they are releasing lot of that orders, but who is going to obey that? Okay, even the member countries of the United Nations also not going to obey their orders about this global warming, war, all the other things. They are day to day they are releasing some notices. Okay, but now we come back to that of the definition. So sustainability, when it comes, means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Okay, so we can see that how the society is going to be in an fruitful nature, that is our happier nature. Okay, what is meaning of the happiest? Okay, Well, now, last year at one get together was there. Okay, we met and discussed about some different the aspects of that we are some long the old days friends we met in a meeting in a conference. Okay, so there we have discussed about the happy index. Okay, how we are happy and how many of our friends are happy there in that of the thing. Okay, that actually this one why we are in the background of one TEDx video only that we have discussed about it. Okay, that video, just on 5 minutes video, is there in the YouTube. And when we are happy, that is okay. So we are respecting from others. They have to do for us, and they have to do some favor for us. They have to work for us. Okay, we are not lot of expectations. We are expecting from our colleagues, we are friends, and even our family, our from our kids. Everywhere where the expectation is there, but when that video says like that only. Okay, at that time really that we felt that when we are going to we have what are the expectations we are having, when we are going to give them to others, then that will make us happy. For example, instead of reading some books, we are writing some books and give to our kids, or I'm making my family to happy. Okay, that is the index of happiness. Okay, that their face is showing that in the index of happiness. That happiness we are utilizing means that is the real and permanent happiness in our life. Similarly, that is, we are not bothering about our future generation. Okay, only we are bothering about me, myself, my present generations, everything. And the present is very, we are giving much more importance than that of our future. Even our the rulers, the government policies, nothing is with respect to the future generation. For example, even that maybe we are affecting the nature by means of the quarries, by deforestation, or all the things we are not going to think about our futures. Okay, even the sand mining we are making for all. So what is the solution for this? Who is going to solve this? Okay, there only the curriculum is required. Okay, so why we are going to all worrying about all these things? You know that uh, what is SDG? After that, we can see discuss the much more things in the later slides actually. Okay, so the sustainable development goals, just as I said earlier, that it is a blueprint and it is the only the channelized thing that coming out from that of the United Nations, and to protect the environment. That is the main thing. Okay, to protect the environment. But the sustainability or sustainable development is only with respect to the environmental. What is the difference between the sustainable engineering and the environmental engineering? That is a lot of confusions are coming in between this environment and the sustainability. Always we are thinking that environment only, the protection of the environment is only the case of the sustainable. No, actually environment is a component of the sustainability. Okay, there are three pillars. One of the pillar is the environment. Okay, so first, this pillar is very important. That is, the protection of the environment is very important. So how we can protect the environment? Okay, how we are going to do that our giving back to that of the society. That is the first thing. Okay, and then all the other aspects uh, uh, like our economy, all the other things will follow if we are protecting this environment well. But this environment, how it is degraded, all the things are addressed with this SDG. So you all of you go know about this sustainable development goals. There are 17 goals developed by this United Nation, and now that is initially just they have developed the goals. Now they are striving to achieve the goals. Okay, every country and every the goals they are working on it. And fortunately, now our country, that is our India, is in a safer mode theoretically, but in practical aspects, we know we are experiencing how it is achieved. Okay, so these are the goals. Just all of you know that, but I am just in a glance. Just I am going with the fast. That is no poverty. Okay, so what is no poverty in case, and how we can give the solution for this no poverty, and whether it will be achievable or not. Okay, so just that is this is the go the thing when they have developed at the time donate what you don't use. That is 836 million people live in extreme poverty. Okay, just we are donating the things, whether whatever may be. There's just we are donating that. I want one people one of your neighbor is coming and asking some help. Just you are donating it, whether it solve the problem or not. Okay, that is the thing we will discuss it later. Okay, just we are donating means that is at the time, that is 15 to 20 years back. Everybody is thinking that just donating will solve this poverty problem, but it is till now it is unsolved. Why it is? Okay, second thing is no hunger. That is also related to that of your poverty only. Avoid throwing away food. Over 1/3 of the world's food is wasted. This is what defined earlier. Okay, so just uh, we are donating the unused food, or we are giving the unused food or unused grains to others. This is similar to that of what? Okay, that sorry to say, it is similar to that of the we are encouraging the beggings actually. Okay, so these are the things. The one they are defining the goals, they thought that this will solve the problem, but it is solved or not, that we will see it later. You have to answer to me. Okay, and good health and well-being. Okay, just vaccinations. They are talking about the vaccination at the time. Okay, when they formulate the theory that vaccinate to your family to protect them and improve the public health. Okay, even after vaccination, and we know that when the cause of this COVID vaccination, how it affect everybody's life, whether that is also giving you the good solution or not. And a lot of people who are vaccinated are affected by some other side effects. Okay, so why it is happening? So good health and well-being, then quality education. Okay, this is very important, and this our topic is very much related to this one, the quality education. Okay, help children in your community to read. Normally, quality education is just making them to read, is giving them the quality education or not. Okay, so what is the solution for that? How we are going to solve this problem, and how much we achieved in this? Okay, and this quality education issues. And this our title is today this transforming education in for sustainable development. Okay, transforming education for sustainable development. How we are going to transform our education to that of the sustainable development? Whenever education and sustainable development is coming, they are thinking about this goal 4 only. No, it is not correct actually. Okay, goal 4 is one of the component that how the technology is going to solve or give the solution for this quality education. And then for the case of the gender equality. Okay, gender equality. Gender equality. Okay, so that is how it will be achieved. Okay, earlier that unbiased nature. Now that we are having some gender equality courses. Even when you are all of you are working for the NAC, there they are asking about what are the courses you are teaching for the gender equality and ethics and values, other things. Okay, just teaching the courses will solve this problem or already solved this problem. And clean water and sanitations. Okay, avoid wasting water. That is one of the thing. Okay, okay. Then what about the groundwater? Who will give the solution for the groundwater contaminations and recycling of the water? What are the solutions are there? How we are going to provide the water for this Arabian countries, and one even in our cities also now, in our daily usage, how the hard waters are there, how it is created. Even that we know that for 10 years back, good water, good groundwater, now it is turned to the hard waters. Okay, so whether we have met this clean water and the sanitations. Okay, and affordable and cleaning energy. Okay, so this is somewhat in energy management in everywhere we are we are hearing the word green energy. Lot of fundings are there for the green energies proposals, and we are calling it as a renewable energy sources. We have to use nowadays. EV is developed. Okay, what are the causes of EV? Just till now it is unknown. Okay, where they are going to dispose all these used lithium batteries, that is also no solution till now. Okay, so whether we met or satisfactorily that this goal is met in the clean energy, the goal is met or not. Okay, and decent work and economic growth. Okay, and this one, everything, that is another one pillar I told you, that sustainable development, economic, that till now there's the environment, next is the economy. Okay, so whether we are getting the decent work, everybody is getting this white collar or blue collar or brown collar jobs. Okay, or whether the salary they are getting is enough to survive, and while the corporate are ruling this world now. Okay, how it will be happen, all these things are this with respect to the decent work and economic growth. Okay, so how this will be achieved? Earlier they defined these definitions are the earlier definitions. I want to show you that at the time of formation they have defined like this: buy from green companies, that equal opportunities to that of the employers. That's what they have defined it, but it met or not. Then industry, innovation and infrastructure. Everywhere now, where that's innovation is there. AICT is funding a lot for this Institute Innovation Council. A lot of workshops are carried out. A lot of hackathons are carried out. And industry revolution is happening. So whether it to change the common life, or whether it brings the sustainable developments, or it meeting that goals. So industry, innovation and infrastructure. Nowadays we know that green infrastructures are there, and industry 4.0, and now they are working for the industry 5.0. Okay, all these things they are incorporating all these artificial intelligence flavors there, so here and there. Okay, they are embedding like something, and they are showing the showcase pieces, whether that will helpful to that of common man. That is SDG 9. And reduce inequalities. Okay, all type of the discriminations. Okay, curriculum wise it is there. Okay, all type of the discrimination is there. Should not be there, and we are taking the oath on the particular days about this, reducing the inequalities, discriminations, everything. But till now, okay, when what is the solution for this? Okay, how these inequalities will be solved in our thing that. So, and sustainable cities and communities. Okay, we know that a lot of public transportation systems are coming there. Okay, and everybody insisted us don't use that petrol or diesel vehicles. You prefer the electrical vehicle or public transportation system. Or nowadays the Vande Bharat the train also they have launched, and they just train. Lot of trains are there, but this sustainable cities like our smart cities, somewhere here and there we are listing out this these cities are smart cities, but the real smartness is there or not. Okay, the real sustainability is there in the cities or not. Even our drainages and our what like any other like our roadways and everything is sustainable. uh, so those things we have to analyze that. Okay, so how this engineering point, or not only I'm telling about the engineering, all the like your education, engineering aspects, management, economics, and even though that it's psychology, all domains, okay, are now working on this this all the sustainable cities and communities, whether it met or not. Okay, so next is the responsible consumption and production. Okay, so responsible consumption means now paper free campus. Every campus, every engineering college, now they are claiming that the criteria 7 of the NAC is saying that automobile free campus, paper free campus, all the things you have to use, recycle the energy, recycle this plastics and other materials, our household materials, you have to recycle it. And how this responsible consumption and the production is carried out. But why this all this underwater pollutions as well as the soil pollutions are happening? If it is done means so. Okay, but in that is one beauty thing is, if you go with that of the target achievement, every developed countries or developing countries, they are showing they have achieved 99 percentage, 98 percentage, 90 percentage of all these goals. Even India also aggregately they are claiming that 83 percentage of the goals are achieved. Okay, we only know we are the from in the receiving end. And climatic actions. Okay, so climatic actions means that how we are going to educate the people. Okay, for the climatic changing conditions. Okay, climatic changing conditions. For example, that we are talking about the sustainability and other things, and as well as the solar energy. While in the climatic actions, the climatic changes happen. For example, the summer side, winter. Nowadays, that's a prediction also we can't do it. Okay, that type of those predictions mechanisms are there. Okay, so this how we are going to face this climatic actions, climatic changes, and how this our technology is going to help us. And life below water, we people we never allow the living things below the water also. Okay, there also that we are showing all our things mischievousness there, and because of that what the even the ocean is polluted, and a lot of contaminations are there everywhere. That's plastic contaminations are there, even in your sea fish also. That on research is telling that some plastic that what composition is there with the flesh of fish also there. Okay, that type of that amount of the contaminations are taking takes place nowadays. Even this, we are not allowing them also to live peacefully. Okay, so for that, a lot of measures they are implementing, imposing that don't use this plastic less than this micron and other things. But still now it is not uh, achieved. That's what. And nowadays it is again and again we are using more plastics and contaminated particles items that we are making the environment more contamination. That one. And life on the land. Okay, so this one, that's what I told you. In the 1600 year AD itself, they have told about this deforestation. And nowadays, every industry, they are advising that whenever you are taking away that you are cutting the trees, you have to plant some 10 number of trees above more than that. Okay, but why now nowadays all this city, all this the forest are demolished, and there that we are constructing the our real estate, and all ashramams, all the other things they are constructing within that of the forest or nearby that of the forest. Okay, so deforestation is takes place, and so life on land and life on ocean both are life under ocean both are miserable now. And peace, justice, and strong institutions. Okay, so these things, and that is in our hand only. This is not to that of the government. I think we are going to select the government. We are going to choose and the right persons there, and especially in our country, this is not at all a big issue. But in many places, even that justice and peace is refused in that that nowadays this Russia Ukraine war is there, and a lot of other Israelis now attacking its all neighbors. Okay, so where we are going now in this? Okay, what direction we are moving on? And this is the partnership. Okay, this one is happening nowadays very well due to the smartphone. Okay, so this one is achieved. Every country is now achieving this partnership because of the smartphone, and that's what every that even that net partnership between family to other countries is there, but partnership within the family is not there. That is another one issue because of this attack of this smartphone. Okay, so we are not ready to share anything within the family. Okay, now everybody is now using are immersed within that of this Instagram, WhatsApp, and other things. Okay, so this goal is more than that of achieved, but it is affecting much more families. Okay, so those things are the outlines. What what are this 17 goals are there, and how it is achieved here. Okay, in our thing. Now I am putting on some questions on you. Okay, are you satisfied the things till now what is happening with us? Okay, in our nation or in our society or in our institution, whether these things are achieved or not. In achieved means what percentage it is achieved. Any polling is there? Praveen?
Sir?
The audience can chat or not? They can able to
Can chat, sir.
Yeah. Then please ask them to raise their opinions on these 17 goals, whether they are what amount they can understand that it is achieved or not. I want to get the inputs from them.
Okay, sir. Okay, participants, please reply. Participants?
All are there? Yes, Sri Krishna Kumar. Sir, tell me, Kiran Kumar. Yeah. So, what is your view on this SDG 7? That we have developed some 17 goals here. Okay, what is your view? Come, please, some of you unmute and we can discuss. This is a discussion section. This is a common session. Okay, here there is one-way talk will not. Especially, I know how much it is difficult to take the afternoon sessions. Okay, okay. After, especially today is Saturday, all are in sleeping mode. Just that's what I want. Some discussions from your end. For me also today afternoon is off actually.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Everybody is telling yes, yes. What yes? I don't know whether what aspects is it is. Okay, I'm satisfied with the responses, but I am asking that this SDG goals. Okay, so I will finish it the session and we will make the discussions. Okay, some 1 hour please more. And
Okay.
thank you for your responses. Somebody is responded. Thank you. Now we can move on to that of condition of what is the actual thing. Okay, while they are defining this one also, this Beddingston, Sir John Beddingston, who is a chief scientist in UK. That time itself, he has raised some concerns. How you are going to achieve the goals? Okay, 2030. They have safer side. They have put it on the 2030. Okay, so 15 years goal they have formulated. So 2030 is their target. Okay, so then he asked, is this much of contradictory will be there? The world's population will rise from 6 billion to 8 billion. Okay, and demand for food will increase by 50% in the 2030. Okay, and the demand for water will increase to 30%. Demand for energy will increase by 50%. Okay, so this is a perfect storm. Okay, how it is going to be achieved then? How any optimization tools or any technology they are going to use? Okay, so after some years only, they realize that nothing is going to be achieved perfectly since it is not incorporated or nobody is aware of these goals. And even though they are aware of that, but they are not practicing. okay, towards again achieving that goal. Anyway, in our life also, we are setting some goals, targets, and sitting without doing anything. Okay, every year, that is now 2025 is upcoming. So 2025 January 1, we are writing that these are all the things I am going to take us on some resolutions in this year. Okay, but on the 25 5th December 31st, we are analyzing it. Anything we have done it or not. Now we are going to analyze in the 2024 goal. Okay, what are the things we have achieved in our targets? Somebody has written as I am going to publish 5 Scopus index papers. As a teaching community, that is our target now. Or I'm going to publish some 2-3 patents and all the things. Okay, in the 1st of January, we are writing that. Or hereafter, I am not going to quarrel with my kids or my wife. Okay, is it happening? Whether is it achievable target? I don't believe it is achievable target. Okay, so all these targets we are writing it, and when we are practicing them, there is a lot of discomfort to achieve that goal. Okay, but those are all the internal influences, dependent variable. But here, what I am discussing is the independent variable. Okay, so dependent variable means if you think, if you try, you can get 5 papers, okay, or 2 papers. I have two or perfectly writing means only 1 paper only you can publish in a year. Okay, you are working yourself and publishing means. Okay, so that is the dependable one. But these things are the independent. Okay, independable targets. Okay, so these are independent factors. They are influencing the targets. Okay, so the world population is going to rise from 6 billion to 8 billion. So 33% of the growth is there. Automatically, what happened? Okay, lot of that's one, deforestation will takes place, and demand for food is required. Demand for other sources are required. Unemployability will come. Okay, so how it is going to be? How who is going to solve all these problems? So demand for food will increase by 50%. Okay, not only that, the food means food is a factor which is affecting all living things. Okay, so if you are having pets, there is the demand for the food. Okay, so that's what it is, 50% of the demand. Is more than that of then there in the case of the demand for the food and demand for the water. This is one of the main problem. Okay, 30% of the demand and demand for the energy. So this is the canonical representation of our SDG, all the analysis they have done. So this consists of this partnership, peace, partnership, planet, people, and prosperity. Okay, so people, it is oriented to that of the people, the sustainable development. If the people developed, the prosperity developed, the peace is there, partnership is there, planet is there. Okay, when the planet is safe, then we are calling it as the sustainable development. So people, prosperity, peace, partnership, and planet are the representation of the sustainable development goals. I'm not telling about the sustainability. It is a sustainable development goals. Okay. So now the role of education. Okay, how it will solve this role of education for this SDGs. Okay, how we are going to transform. This is our second phase of this lecture. How we are going to make the transformation from that of the education, or that's how we are going to embed the education in that of the sustainable education. Sorry, yeah, we are going to embed this sustainable education and development goal on the education. So goal 1, end poverty in all its forms. Forms everywhere. This one I am expecting from you people. Actually, I thought some active discussions are there. You can give me the solutions. This is some of the solutions I have found from the internet and the literatures. But your active discussion is there means definitely we will get some more inputs. Okay, I hope you will do it in the end of this session. So end poverty in all the forms. Okay, so the education offers better livelihood and enables earning of higher wages, critical to escape chronic poverty, prevents the transmission of the poverty between the generations. Okay, so good education is there. Okay, so this good education will offers better livelihood. Okay, and another one thing like one maxima is there, another one minima is there. Good education is there. Without job, where they will go for this better livelihood? Okay, so how we are going to optimize it? That's what that survival of the fittest is again coming here, and enables earning of higher wages. Okay, so education definitely, and but we know that without education also now the people are earning much more. Who are all having the PhD is getting less than that of who are all even having their own startups and other things. So this is there is also a contradictory is there. Okay, so whether this education itself is going to end the poverty, that is another one question mark. Okay, I again more question marks I have already raised. Here also some question marks are there. But this is one of the solution. We can't say, we can't neglect that this education is not enables earning of higher wages or not offering the better livelihoods. Education is one of the main important component. Whether it is solving it or not, that is another one case. That critical to escape chronic poverty. Okay, so if the education is there, we know that in the before this all these developments happening, that what traditional work, traditional jobs, they never come out from their traditions. Okay, they have to that for example, one person is doing the job of X, and his son should also do the same job. Okay, and they can't come out from there. That's that what it is called, that is family work. That whatever he belongs to his family, he has to work the same. His family, his grandfather is a climber, he should also climb. But now this education, because of this education, this chronic poverty is removed. Okay, that we can accept. Everybody should agree that, and prevents the transmission of the poverty between the generation. That is also similar to that one. Okay, so some advantages are there, but it is not fulfilled that. So how we can fulfill it? The coming slide to explain it. Okay, and next is end hunger, achieve food security, and improved nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. All these things are with respect to this goal 2. Okay, that is goal 2 is the zero hunger. Okay, zero hunger. So zero hunger, how it is achieved by means of the education. So education leaves parents to apply appropriate health and the hygiene practices. Okay, so this educated parents, they automatically they are practicing their good that what hygienic practices in their home. Automatically half of the disease will gone away. Okay, and that is a good health and hygiene environment will happening there, and it helps ensure a varied diet and nutritious diet. Not only that varied diet, that's the education system itself. It teaches that what is a nutritious one, what is a non-nutritious, what is a junk food. But nowadays, even educated people are using more junk food than that of the average educated people. Okay, so, and education helps to reduce the obesity. These are the things. So more discussions are required in this how this education is going to reduce the hunger. Okay, and role of education and delivering SDGs. Third one is healthy lives. That is good health is one of the thing. Okay, so mother's education has saved a million of children's lives. You know, in the earlier years. Okay, like they doesn't know how to care their babies, and they doesn't know how to vaccinate their babies. Okay, because of that, a lot of even the 8 9 babies in a family, and 7 5 or 6 are died. Then only 3 or 4 is there. Okay, well, that remaining. That's what that those are happening because of this. They refused the women education in the earlier years. Okay, now this women education is developed because of that. They saved the million of lives. Okay, that's what is quoted like that. And education plays a major role in contagious disease and other things. And the role of education in delivering. This one is next one is SDG 4 is education. Okay, so this is the one-to-one map. Hello.
Participants, please mute. Participants. Hi, sir.
Okay. So, okay. I think people who are sleeping may be worked up. Okay. So this is the quality education criteria for this goal 4 is mainly with respect to the quality education. Here there are two things. One is for the school education, another one is higher education. And now that while we are looking for our country or our districts or our states, the school education is much more better than that of the northern states. Okay, there till now that's child labor is there. They are not at all going to schools, and illiteracy is much more in most of the interior states there. Okay, in the northern and the northeast places. Okay, so and higher education also, that's what they are coming from the northeast to that of the Bangalore side and Chennai areas. A lot of people from northeast is coming because of they want to get the good quality education from here. Okay, so this one this education is now give now every people they are getting in every community, every society, they are getting the good education nowadays. But the cost wise it is very much. You see that in Bangalore side, one school per year they are charging 3 lakhs for as a tuition fees for the kindergarten students. Okay, from KG onwards they are getting 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs fees. Okay, how a common man will get it? Okay, which policy is going to rectify all these issues here? Okay, so then gender equality. Gender equality, yes, we have achieved something, but till now this gender equality means it is it is not on the one-way travel. It is a two-way travel nowadays. Okay, in some places it is very difficult to get a job for boys nowadays. Okay, that is also one of the thing we have to address here. Okay, and even like the software companies and other, they are recruiting more girls. Okay, well, don't think that the gender equality is, but in some other all other aspects, the women, even that those who are working, why they are recruiting more women? They want to extract more work actually. Okay, and even the small jobs also, they are recruiting this women laborers than that of the. I think that those there that gender equality we have to that just to be teaching some subjects like gender equality, women empowerment, whether it will serve the or the solve the issues. Okay, so this is the thing. So education, how we are going to merge this education to that of our thing. And before that, I want to discuss something with respect to that. I just that is a time consuming. That's what I'm stopping up to the goal 5. Okay, so how this engineering is going to solve all these issues? Some engineering education, how it is going to solve the issues? That's one only I'm going to take next session. Okay. So this is the global trends till 2030 that this sustainability is now depending on the globalization, inequality, and climatic changes. Okay, so this is the sustainability in engineering based on the system theories. Okay, you know that a lot of system theories are there, and normally the system theories are used to now everything. These are complex problems. Complex problems means that you know that engineering problems that POs. Okay, so complex engineering problem is there. What is complex engineering problem? The complex engineering problem always, whenever you are modeling a system with the society, there is a complexity will come. Okay, always we know that lot of non-linearities are there while we are modeling a system. So that non-linearities are when it is going to be addressed. So what do you mean by the non-linearity? Everybody knows. Okay, so some input and output is not proportionate. Okay, whenever we are getting something and we are giving away something, okay, if it is not proportionate, means we are calling it as a non-linearity. Okay, so whenever we are modeling a system with respect to the social aspects, there is always a non-linearity is there. Okay, so this non-linearity problem should be solved or addressed by this engineering curriculum. Okay, that's what. All of you may aware about this POs, PSOs, and COs, all the things. The outcome-based education only we are using. So the POs, the complex engineering problem or complex problem, is one of the main aspects, main engineering graduate attributes for the case of the engineering graduates. Okay, so they are expecting that the curriculum is designed in this manner. Okay, and such a way to solve the complex engineering problems. Complex problems means what? Some problems with respect to the safety, some problems with respect to and the productivity, some problems with respect to non-pollutionness. All the things will incorporate it in a particular model. Then we are calling it as the issue will be solved. Okay, but what we are doing now? Okay, we are for that what is required. Okay, every engineering student or every student who are studying in their own discipline, they should apply that to that of their own community. Own community means where they are living. Okay, where they are living there. Okay, that's what nowadays the schemes like Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, what they are doing, they are encouraging the students to go to the field and adopt to 5 villages. In that villages, what are the things are happening? You have to develop some technology for the development of those people who are living in those villages. Go interior to that. Earlier my days, there were only NSS and NCC are there. Nowadays the government is funding a lot for this solving this complex of engineering problems. Okay, and that's what they are conducting lot of events like hackathons and based on that they are, but the solution where it is, I hope how long it is how that is how they are giving the solutions for each and every problems. And 2 or 3 years back, they have started some tomato challenge. Okay, tomato challenge is nothing but that how we can make the value added products from the tomatoes. All over India, some 10,000 to 15,000 and proposals came to that of to that of this Institute Innovation Council. And till now that the proper solution is not at all, and the technology transfer was not happening. Similarly, nowadays you can see that a number of patents we are applying, that the patent applications, patent publication is happening, but how many are converted into technology transfer stage? Okay, and how many are granted? See, even granted also, granting means you can, as a faculty member, design patent, you are getting it like anything, but using that, how much you are earning from that patent? Okay, or else what is the use of that? Okay, so this understanding the problem is main concept of giving the solutions. Without understanding the problem, how you can give the solution? Okay, it is similar to that of our academic PhD. Okay, without defining the problem, without formulating anything, without the research methodology, just publishing some papers and getting the degree, how it is. Okay, so what are the pain points? How our degrees are, however, thing will help the society. This is a time to question to that of even the one student is graduating from this discipline, what he served to that of the society. Okay, what about his as a final project? Any sustainable components he has included? Any this sustainable development goal he has achieved? We have to map it. Okay, similar to that of our PO mapping, we have to map with the PO with that of his project. Okay, how he has achieved that one. That is the thing. That is called a real transformation of the education in the sustainability. Okay. So similarly, I told these are the 3 pillars of the sustainability. That is the environment, economy, and the social. Okay, so environment is one of the component. Don't think that the sustainability is nothing but the environment development. Environment is one of the component. For example, for my selfishness, or I have to construct one house, I am cutting 2 or 3 trees means I have to replant 4, 5 there. Then I am having some environment concern there with me. Okay. Or now, okay, for my only for my selfishness, I am running one firm. Okay, I want to get some more gain. I am cutting the salary of the thing. That is not the economic sustainability. Only I am going to grow. Or who is going that? What about my employees there? Okay, and social. Okay, social means what with respect to how we are having that lot of the corporates now they are having the CSR fund. Okay, corporate social fund. So how they are giving back to that of the society. Okay, that is the social. So these three needs are, or the three are met means. Okay, and the intersect point is called the sustainable development. Okay, sustainability or not sustainable development, sustainability. Okay, so for the sustainable future, we have to impart the knowledge to the students. We have to develop their skills and add the values, and all the things will be mapped to their attributes. That is normally in our curriculum term, we are calling it as an POs. Okay, how much knowledge he gained, how much skills he achieved, and how much values. Okay, all these things are going to be transformed to these three components, to that of the environment, to that of the economic growth, to that of the social growth. So, so how we are going to integrate the knowledge attitudes? Attitude is nothing but your attributes. Attitudes are skills and values in teaching. Okay, one or two classes like human values, professional ethics. In most of the institutions, it is a 1 credit or 2 credit paper, optional paper, audited paper, like that only. Okay, but how it is? But in the time of the accreditations, they are searching that what are the skill development courses we taught, what are the this one employability courses we have taught, what are the entrepreneurship courses we taught, what are the gender discrimination that courses, gender equality courses we have taught. All these things at the time only we are searching that while writing our SSR or other things. Okay, but how we have delivered these things, how it is integrated into that curriculum. Affiliated colleges, there is some constraints that they can't make it, but how many workshops we are conducting every semester based on developing their knowledge, attitudes, and skills towards the sustainability development, and incorporate the disciplines of the social science and the humanities. Okay, this is very important actually. Okay, so that's even were jokings they are telling that in the electrical engineer house, the even the fuse horn they don't know, doesn't know how to make it up. Okay, and similar problem is there. That is nothing but the skills there. Okay, but the social science and the humanities, these are the also the important components there. Here in the city areas and other places, this psychology and other courses like your social work, social sciences, that have much more demand. We know only that engineering and medicine is only that two courses everywhere it is more demanding. No, not like that. Okay, so if the social science and humanities are included into that of our curriculum, engineering curriculum, or any of the curriculum, then this sustainability development will be occurs. Okay, and promote a multidisciplinary teamwork. This is very important. Nowadays, everywhere we are hearing the terms multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. Why it is? Okay, all these thing aspects are going to be at develop the teamwork, and on as an electrical engineer or the computer engineer, he doesn't know the other concepts means. So to overcome that, the new education policy is now telling about this minor courses and open electives, all the other things, but how much they are getting and knowledge with that of how much we are delivering them. Okay, and stimulate creativity and critical thinking, foster reflecting of the self-learning, and raise awareness of the challenges posed by the globalization. Okay, so these are the important thing for the sustainable engineering education. Okay, so in this is one paradigm shift. We have to see that in engineering education, transition from focus on technical issues to problem and topics that requires an integrated, adaptive, and participatory approach. Okay, so that's what they are now giving more participative learnings and projects like internships and all the other things. But those problems what the students are choosing for their projects or internship, and in the participative learning discussions, whether they are related to that of the sustainable development goals, that then we are achieving something. That faculty member is definitely achieving something towards this, or giving back something to the towards the society. And some challenges are there for the, especially in the engineering education. There is a difference between the hard science and the soft sciences, and attention in accommodating the sustainability related elements in the curriculum. Even it is accommodated also, the delivering is also an issue. And faculty knowledge of issues like social awareness, understanding of the economic and environmental issues, impact, lack of knowledge of social and factors, all the things. Even on engineering faculty, how much he's familiarized with that of our finance, accounts, auditing, and economic growth, and all the factors that should be included. That's what this type of the trainings and other things are very much important. And in the APS course also, they are insisting to attend this type of the workshops and other things. And the sustainability focused courses like these are the courses. Some universities, their sustainability, global warming, and climatic change. Global warming is a main factors. You know that the average temperature of this Earth's surface is rise to 1.5 degrees centigrade. What happens? This 1. If it is naturally happen, no issue. Okay, all are happen because of their our livelihoodness and our sophisticated life we are using, making the global to warm. That what happens due to that? After some years, there is the ice are melting in Arctic regions, and that will create some imbalance definitely. And green technology and design, renewable energy generation. These are the old courses. Nowadays, new gen courses also there. Okay. And really, these are the important courses like engineering students should study about this, law and policy, environmental law and policy, economics and the environment, geology, risk management, all these things. Okay, so what are the bodies are controlling these things? Okay, this is one of okay, 10 to 15 minutes I've completed. Okay, so higher education and research for sustainable development, HESD. Okay, HESD is run by IAU. What is IAU? Anyone? Please tell me what is IAU? Hmm? IAU. Participants are there. Okay, so International Association of the Universities. Okay, all private, most of the private universities are member of this IAUs. Okay, and they are having a cluster called HESD, Higher Education Research for Sustainable Development. Okay, and there they are analyzing their uh, partner countries and partner universities, how they are practicing in their campuses this SDG developments, and how they are incorporating them into that of their curriculum. Nowadays, you know that a lot of rankings, even QS ranking also, there is one main component is this SDG goals. How they are practicing, how they are teaching, how many components are there in with respect to this SDG goals. Okay, so these are the controlling bodies nowadays. Even the all accreditation in new framework, our accreditation frameworks also, they are discussing about this SDG also. Now in the NAC also, you know that criteria 7 is completely with respect to this one also only. Okay, best practices, what are the best practices there? But it is not going in depth actually. It is not deep diving. Overall, it is asking about whether rainwater harvesting is there, sustainable development, the things are whether all the parameters every institution is following or not. All these things are there, but in future, this will be one of the main important component in every universities and every institutions, how they are practicing this SDG goals there. And India's national education policy, it is insisting a lot of things about this SDG the implementations. And some states are following, some states are even not come to that of the NEPs. There are some pros and cons are there. I agree. Okay. And so that's what a lot of discussions are there. But in the NEP, one of the main component is this one. This SDG goals. So there's a NEP component. They are mapping with this SDG goals. And this is one of the important body nowadays developed in India for the Skill Council of Green Jobs. Okay. So this Skill Council of Green Jobs is now approved by all the bodies of India, like this NCBT and vocational body. So it is called SCGJ. Okay, just you go through that SCGJ. All this renewable energy jobs, the renewable energy trainings, skill developments takes place here, and this water management, e-waste management, green transport, and green hydrogen, soil waste management, and there are a lot of tie-up with the industries also, and you can also log in within that, and you can find a lot of benefits from that of this Skill Council of Green Jobs. Okay, you can teach your students how to access the portal, this screen SCGJ portal, and there these are the parameters for the renewable energy, solar, wind, smart hydro, energy storage, bioenergy and biomass power generation, biofuels, and clean cook stoves. So, and what skill they require for that. Okay, and what training, what is a job description, everything is available there, and what type of the training they require, and what is their requirement, and environment and forest climatic changes, that is solid waste management, and that wastewater and waste management, e-waste management, and carbon neutrality, like and ecotourism, everything, and sustainable development, like green hydrogen, green construction, green transportation. That's what I told you in the beginning, that earlier we got this white collar, brown collar jobs. Nowadays green collar job is also there. Whatever they are coming under the sustainability, they are calling it as in green only. Okay, green energy, greenhouse, sorry, not greenhouse, but that green buildings, green transportations, and all the things are there. Okay, so green construction, like green buildings and green campuses also. And how this technology is going to use for all these cases, that is another one class is required. Okay, how we are going to incorporate the technology for this green sustainable development goals, as well as this environmental and renewable. Okay, so so these are the key goals for India in 2047. This ACJ, they are telling about this 2047 goals, like our 2030. This we got independent in 1947. So they set a goal for this 2047. Okay, so energy independence and security. Energy independence means there's non-renewable energy sources. We have to independent from that. And main engineering problem now we are going to discuss is the technology development. Because of that, how it is going to make the imbalance. For example, EV vehicles are nowadays, a lot of EV vehicles are coming. Where they are going to dispose the used battery, lithium, how much it is going to be giving the pollution. Okay, that we we are going to get an impact after 5 to 10 years. Okay, similarly, every aspect, the data centers, they are constructing big buildings. And Google is constructing constructed one building nearly that is equivalent to that of our half of the Bangalore city in USA. Okay, so big buildings they are constructing. All the things are coming up. How they are going to all this technological development is going to impact this sustainable goals. Definitely, again and again, in some part we are going to get the weakness. Okay, and global hub for green and hydrogen production exports, and government plan towards the program and interventions, national green hydrogen missions. Okay, and intervention to promote domestic manufacturing of renewable energy equipments, innovative market mechanism for the renewable energy, policies and regulations to promote. All these things are this government's plan. Okay, when you are finding time, just you go through that website and you will get a lot of information about the government's policies and schemes and job profiles. It is like SGH Vision 2047, and these are the job descriptions available. Okay, to get a job in the solar PV installer. Okay, what are the things are required? What type of training they have to undergo? Okay, and the solar PV installers, what type of the training? Okay, and all the qualifications, everything is there. Lot of things are there. Just I have taken some samples only from there. Okay, so I want to conclude it. Okay, so sustainable development, they are setting the goals, but we are practicing in our life. Okay, so everything is in our hand. And as a faculty member, we are having more responsibility to teach or to incorporate or to deliver to that of our students about the sustainable development goal in a fruitful manner. And every component, like their projects, mini projects, think of that any of the goal is met there. That is a real transformation of the sustainable development goals to that of our education, especially the engineering education. Thank you all. Now this session is open for the discussion.
Participants, you can ask any questions. Sir, there is no questions. I'm thinking so, sir.
There is no question or there is no participants.
No, some chatbots, they are telling thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And that is for feedback link. Okay.
Sir, then okay, sir. We can now wind up the session.
Okay. Okay. Thank you all.
Sir, okay.
And I will share my yeah.
Sir, okay. Thank you. We sincerely appreciate your valuable time and effort in sharing your valuable insights with us today. Your inspiring sessions was incredibly enriching, and we are grateful for the chance to benefit from your knowledge and experience. So once again, I thank you for your remarkable contribution. So thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, Praveen, and thank you. I thank you for your institution also inviting me for as a resource person. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
congratulations,
Thank you.
Praveen. Congratulations to the coordinators for they are about to complete this 6 days FDP. Okay, so I think one more
Thank
session
you,
is
sir.
there, no?
Thank you. One more session
Okay.
is there, sir. So
Okay.
today is the last day.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Okay, sir. So participants, next session will start at 5 p.m. Please stay Sir?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Shall we start, sir?
Yes, whenever you are ready, we can start.
Okay, sir. Okay. Angela, ma'am? Angela, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
We can start.
Moving on, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed resource person for the next session, Dr. Srijit Shankar. He completed his MSc in chemistry with first rank MG University, Kottayam in 2007. He holds a PhD in Industrial Chemistry and Chemical Engineering from Milan, Italy in 2011. He was a visiting scientist with a Marie Curie Fellowship at the Weizmann Institute of Science, Israel during 2011-15 and a Humboldt Research Fellow at the University of Kiel, Germany during 15-16. And he joined CSIR and NIST with a DST Inspire Faculty Award and later migrated to Ramanujan Fellowship in June 2017. He is currently a senior scientist at CSIR NIST Trivandrum. He has been recognized by several awards, including JNCA's ASR Best Emerging Young Scientist Award 2022, CSIR Technology Award 2021, Kerala State Young Scientist Award 2020, Third BRICS Young Scientist Award representing India at the Third BRICS Young Scientist Forum at South Africa 2018, and so on. He has also been a summer research fellow of two prominent science institutions in India. He is currently leading a research group at CSIR and NIST Trivandrum working on the development of smart and functional materials for various applications. He is also coordinating the Innovation Center at CSIR and NIST Trivandrum, where more than 10 startups are currently incubated. He has authored more than 30 publications in reputed international scientific journals and has more than 40 patent applications filed in various jurisdictions across the world. We are indeed fortunate to have such a distinguished team with us today. I am confident that his insights and expertise will enrich us all. Let's warmly welcome Dr. Srijit Shankar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. I hope I am audible. Am I audible? Okay, so I'll try to share the slides. I hope the slides are also visible. Can someone confirm if the slides are visible? Praveen sir, are my slides visible? You are mute.
Sir, it is visible.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is visible. Okay, sir.
Thank you for the invitation and the kind words of introduction. So without losing much of the time, let's go straight into the topic today. I believe this is probably the last talk of this FDP session. So it's a mix of different sustainable energy technologies that are put together, particularly where CSI and NIST is working on. So I kept a title Sustainable Energy and the Green Deal because most of the things that we are going to look at are going to be contributing to the green energy concept. So first few minutes I'll spend on something related to sustainability. So sustainability is probably one of the most misused words in the current technology era. So when we talk about technology, there are two versions. One version is that it's a meaningless cliche. You can put sustainability before anything. Sustainable clothing, sustainable furniture, sustainable writing, sustainable living. So any verb that you can think of, you can prepose it with sustainable. So it can be a meaningless cliche or it can have a real conceptual meaning. So this is where we are going to start. So the first part has nothing to do with energy as such. It is about sustainability of different aspects that we can think about. So when we talk about sustainability, one sentence definition that has been accepted by most of the forums across the world is the one that is given in blue here: meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. This is kind of a broad single sentence definition that has been accepted worldwide, and this was not put forth recently. It was put forth in the late 1980s, 1987 by the United Nations. And this concept takes into consideration three P's: the people, the prosperity, and the planet. So if all three are happy, then we can say that that particular concept is sustainable. Now, this is what we call the triple bottom line, the 3P. We have people, prosperity, and planet. People, the second one on the left hand side, as you see here, the society. Prosperity is what we call economy, and planet is the environment. So ESE or triple P is what we call the pillars or the triple bottom line of sustainability. So if we have all these three happy, let's say the people are happy, the planet is happy, and we have prosperity, then we have healthy ecosystem, healthy community or healthy society, and the healthy economy. So all these will merge together. Let's say on the right hand side, the center of this, the dark green, this is what we call the green zone, and this is where sustainability emerge. Now, if we want to define sustainability, we have to look at one more concept, which is called the ecological footprint. So this is again a concept that was devised not recently, long ago. So the ecological footprint is defined as the amount of biologically productive space. So the significant part is the biologically productive part. It should be biologically productive. It can be either land, it can be water, it can be the surface of oceans. So whatever space is biologically productive, that is necessary to support a particular standard of living or a lifestyle. So if we need, say, X acres of land for one person to survive, that is the ecological footprint of one person. Now, if we take Earth as a whole, Earth has a lot of areas that are green, a lot of ice is there, a lot of deserts are there. So we cannot consider deserts and ice in this concept because they are not biologically productive. So we have to completely exclude deserts, ice caps, and where biological productivity is not possible. And if we take the whole area of Earth and calculate what would be the ecological footprint, the estimated value is 11 billion hectares or 27 billion acres of land, water, and sea surface. This is the total ecological footprint. We need this much amount to survive. This is actually available on Earth. So we have 11 billion hectares or 27 billion acres of land, water, sea surface, ocean surface together that are biologically productive available on Earth. If you compare it to the whole area of Earth, this is only a quarter, 1/4 of the total area. So the ecological footprint that is biologically productive is only 1/4 of the total area of Earth. Now, is this enough for us to survive? Now let us see the ecological footprint of different nations. This is not a very recent data. It's almost like 5 years old. The ecological footprint of US is 9.7, China is 2.1, Mexico is 3.4, France is 4.9, and the global average is somewhere around 2.7 to 3. And according to the concept of ecological footprint that we discussed earlier, any country whose footprint is above 1.6 hectares of land is exceeding the actual availability on Earth. We know only 11 billion hectares are available. So 11 billion hectares, we have to divide it by the total number of people on Earth. So approximately one country can have approximately 1.6 hectares of land. So anything that exceeds 1.6 is exceeding what we already have on Earth. So as you see here on the down, US, China, Mexico, France, global average, everything is above what is available on Earth. So the ecological footprint is very high. Now, assume that we all want to be a developed nation. India should be developed. All our neighboring countries should be developed. The world should be as all developed. So if you put US as the standard now for development, or what we call a developed nation, how much is the ecological footprint of US? 9.7 hectares. If we calculate this, take this into consideration and calculate what would be required for the whole population on Earth to survive. We have now 7.9 billion people on Earth. One person will need 9.7 hectares. We have only one planet now, and our total amount available on Earth is, as we discussed before, 11 billion hectares, which means that we need additional 6 more planets for us to survive. Each ecological footprint, if we take US as the developed nation, if we take something less, okay, fine, we still need more than one planet to survive. So this is the problem that we are really facing. Our ecological footprint is too high for the available survive area on Earth. Now we'll look at sustainability taking one aspect, because energy is one part, our living conditions are another part, maybe transportation is another part, our needs in terms of food is another part. So, but we'll take a very simple example, packaging. That is one of the best examples that we can find to define or redefine sustainability. Why it is? Because if you take India as a whole, we are the 5th largest economy in the world now. We are poised to become the 3rd largest economy very soon. And if you take the total economy of India, packaging represents the 5th largest sector. And packaging contributes to the maximum in sustainability in any sector in India. For example, we all drink these small packs of fruity or small packs of juices. And that is what we call the Tetra Pak. In India alone, 15,000 such packets are purchased and dumped every minute. And if we take the amount of plastic that we generate, plastic waste, only US and Europe together are above us. We are 3rd largest. European Union, we take as 1. US, we take as 1. Then we are the 3rd. If we take different countries in European Union, then probably we are the 2nd after United States. In 10 years, 2010 to 2020, we increased the consumption of our plastic by 200%. And India has the 2 major rivers, the Indus and the Ganga. They carry the maximum amount of plastic waste to ocean every year in lakhs of tons. So this is the picture that packaging gives us in terms of sustainability. Now let us see why this is important. You know, there are certain studies that shows that microplastic is very small pieces of plastic, really micrometer sized or nanometer sized pieces of plastic. We see that plastic doesn't degrade, but plastic can get broken down into smaller versions. It's smaller particles, and these particles are what we call microplastics. And microplastic, if we think about, there are so many disadvantages of this. We all like to drink. When we go to a hotel, the supply will ask us, you need a packaged drinking water or need normal water? We are hygienic, we go for the packaged drinking water. What happens is that somebody who is drinking this packaged water is in plastic bottles. We see nothing happens to the plastic, but over time, some small microplastics can come into the water, and these people who are drinking packaged water will be taking in 90,000 microplastics per year. And 90,000 microplastics is huge. And also, all our food packaging happens in plastic. We buy it from Zomato, Swiggy. Everybody gives, most of the people give us food in plastic containers. If we take them to the whole, we are taking approximately 5 grams of microplastic every week, and 5 grams of microplastic is equivalent to the weight of a credit card. That is what we consume, and this is a study by University of Newcastle. Other significant problems include bisphenol A. Bisphenol A is again additives used in plastics that we consume regularly. They can affect almost every internal organ: heart, liver, hormones, reproductive disorders, diabetes. 1 picomolar solution is enough to disrupt our cell functions. Plastics also contain styrenes, benzenes. These are carcinogenic. Microplastics, as we said, they are very toxic. In Mumbai alone, it has been found that the drinking water contains approximately 500 microplastics per liter, which is too high. So our packaging sector is not sustainable. So that is the example that we can take to define what is sustainability and what we can go ahead. Now we'll take just two examples. Whether glass or plastic. Now we said plastic is not sustainable. So which is more sustainable? Is glass more sustainable or plastic more sustainable? So these are commercially available peanut butter. We eat them regularly. A lot of brands are now producing peanut butter in India. So one is the left hand side, what you see is a peanut butter packaged in glass bottle, and on the right you see a peanut butter that is packaged in plastic bottle. Now we discussed about the problems associated or the concerns associated with plastics. Now let us see. So if plastics has problems, we assume that glass is more sustainable. Let us see which is more sustainable. If we consider the weight, to pack 500 grams of peanut butter, we need a glass bottle that will weigh 300 grams. At the same time, plastic will weigh only 50 grams. So the weight is actually 6 times higher. You need glass, the weight that is 6 times higher. And if you want to transport it, what do you have to do? The 50-gram plastic bottles, they are all the same size. The 50-gram plastic bottle will go in 2 containers, whereas 3 containers will be required for transporting the glass bottles. Now, the number of containers is more, and since the weight is more, we need to have more fuels burned to transport those much. So the emission that comes from those fossil fuels, if you're taking a truck, something is carrying 300 grams, something is carrying 50 grams. So we need more fuels, that means more emission. We need more energy to produce glass than plastic. We need the production of glass produces more emissions compared to the production of plastic. And if glass breaks, it can hurt. If plastic breaks, it need not hurt. But plastic has its own problems. So if we look at this, which is better? Plastic is actually better than glass in terms of sustainability. But the problem is we have to go for recyclable or biodegradable plastics, not the normal plastic. That microplastic problem has to be completely taken care. If we go to recyclable or biodegradable plastics, then plastic is more sustainable than glass for packaging. Now let's take one more example, paper or plastic. We talked about glass, the weight, the fossil fuels that has to be consumed, the amount of energy for production, the emissions coming out during production or during transportation. Now let us see paper versus plastic. So if we take plastic bags and paper bags, the plastic bags, the greenhouse gas emissions from plastic bags is 39% less compared to paper bags, because paper bags are all burnt. Burning creates a lot of greenhouse gases. In terms of uncomposted ones, and in terms of if you burn it, that is 68% more. The weight of plastic bags is 6 to 10 times lower compared to the weight of paper bags. Again, if the weight is lower, lower transportation cost, lower amount of fuel, and lower pollution. The amount of water that is required for production, if you want to make 1,500 bags of plastic, we need 220 liters of water. To make 1,000 paper bags, we need more than 3,800 liters of water. The energy of production for plastic is 71% less compared to paper. And the waste after use, if we are using plastic bags versus paper bags, paper waste is 5 times more. So the overall calculation tells us that if we use either biodegradable plastics or the plastics that are reusable, then plastic is more sustainable. So the overall conclusion is that if the same bag is used 4 times or more, then plastic is more sustainable than paper. Any other disposable bags are indeed more sustainable than paper bags. And adding to this is what we call the deforestation that will account for paper production. So these are 2 examples. So I hope that now you have got a concept of sustainability and what is required to bring sustainability in our everyday life. Now let's go back to energy. So this is what sustainability is all about. Now going back to energy, we know that now sea level is rising, glaciers are melting, temperature is increasing, all those because of the phenomena called global warming. Now, what is global warming? So if you look at the image on the left-hand side, you see that there are 2 sections, 1950 to 2014. Again, on right-hand side, 1950 to 2014. These are 2 different analyses. In the old analysis, the temperature trends were told like from 1950 to 1999, there will be a rate of warming of around 0.2 degree Fahrenheit per decade. And due to because our education is increasing, our awareness is increasing, people are aware about the standards of living, people are aware about the problems caused by increase in temperature. So it was considered that from the 2000 onwards, everybody will try to reduce the global warming so that earlier if it was 0.2 degree Fahrenheit per decade, we will bring it down to less than 0.15 Fahrenheit per decade. And you know what happened? The actual thing is that there was no slowing down, but it just increased. We are either at par with the 1990s or the 1900s, even in 2000, after 2000. So our global warming is a big problem. We all know that if the whole temperature increases above 1.5 degrees centigrade, that will be a huge issue. And on the right hand side, you can see the graphics, how the temperature has been increasing, and we are almost touching 1.5 degrees by 2020. In another few years, it is shown that we may cross 1.5, and once we touches 2 degrees centigrade rise in overall temperature, global temperature, we will be in deep trouble. So this is the problem causing the issues with global warming. And now, what has energy to do with that? When we go to the energy requirement, greenhouse gas is what we talked about now, and greenhouse gas is what is causing global warming. If we look at the statistics, this left-hand side, the BBC has reported a statistics where India is the 4th biggest emitter of carbon dioxide in the world. We are emitting per person per year 1.9 tons of carbon dioxide. This is a 2020 data, and now there are data that is coming and telling that India is number 3, not number 4 anymore. We have overtaken European Union in this. China has the highest, so we are producing a lot of carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is what is causing greenhouse emissions, greenhouse effect. Now, if we have to have sustainable energy, we need to reduce a lot of things. We need to improve a lot of things. So according to the Sustainable Development Goals, energy sustainability is defined as ensure quality energy for humanity, nurturing the quality of life from all aspects known to man. So we should not go down in our living standards, but clean energy should be ensured for everyone. And this requires three aspects. One is universal access to energy. We'll discuss in the next slide. Second is the usage of energy should be efficient. We should increase our energy efficiency and we should reduce greenhouse gas emissions. If we can get all these three in the green zone, then we have energy sustainability. So this is what we are talking about to ensure clean energy. It should not create pollution or emissions. It should be affordable. It should be affordable to everyone. It should be reliable. We cannot have energy available at some time and not available at another time. So it should be reliable. And finally, it should be sustainable. And all these should be for everyone on the globe. So what we need is, we need sustainable energy for all. And there are these three solutions are there. We have access. We have to provide access to, we need to give energy access to everyone. We have to use a lot of renewable energy and we have to increase the energy efficiency. If we can do all three at the same time, then if these three objectives are met, then we have sustainable energy. And to have this, we have a lot of ways. So now what I'll touch upon, we'll see some of the activities that we do at NIST. These are what not our group is working on, but some of the activities that we have been doing. So we have systems to work with generation of energy, storage of energy, and management of energy. Generation means we are using renewable sources. Storage means we are storing the energy that is generated in terms of battery or supercapacitors. And finally, we have an efficient way of managing the energy. So the energy management is what we are working on. So I'm sure you already have had a few talks where the generation of energy has been touched upon. The storage of energy, Dr. Raki might have touched upon. And finally, Dr. Narayan Nunni might have talked to you about some building integrated technologies. So we are working on that building integrated technology where today we'll look at some aspects from the materials point of view where this is being done. So one thing that we are working on, we have started working on is green hydrogen. I'm sure you already had a lot of talks about green hydrogen. So this is what the nation looks at. We have to have green hydrogen. Green hydrogen means there are different types of hydrogen. Gray hydrogen is there, blue hydrogen is there. So depending on the source, depending on the energy used to produce hydrogen, depending on the raw materials used. This is how we classify them. You might have already listened to this in the previous talks. So green hydrogen is where energy used is green, which means can be solar allied production, solar energy used to produce hydrogen. It can be another method from splitting of water. So green hydrogen, if we can, the problem is now it is coming like $3 to $6 per kilogram of green hydrogen. If we can bring it down to $1 per kilogram, then we can have a paradigm shift in clean and sustainable energy. And according to our Prime Minister during his 2021 Independence Day address, he has told that green hydrogen is the future of the world. And the National Hydrogen Mission is already working in India. So what our idea is, we were talking about emission of carbon dioxide. And two important chemical industries that are producing carbon dioxide the most is, one is ammonia and the other is urea. And we use a lot of ammonia in India. We use a lot of urea. This ammonia is used for making urea, which is a very good fertilizer. So these two are the most carbon intensive industries, and it accounts to almost 1.2 to 1.5% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. It's huge. So now if we can, and what is used to make ammonia? Ammonia is made by Haber's process using hydrogen and nitrogen. So hydrogen, if we can make hydrogen in a green way, then we can make green ammonia, and green ammonia can be used to make green urea. So this is the total idea that we are working on. And carbon dioxide emissions from, if you take just urea, 2.27 megatons of carbon dioxide per amount of carbon dioxide. So ammonia combines with carbon dioxide to form urea. If one molecule of carbon dioxide is used, to make urea, then that produces another 2.27 molecules of carbon dioxide. So each kilogram of carbon dioxide used will produce 2.27 kilograms of carbon dioxide during urea production, unless we use green hydrogen. So this is the idea: green hydrogen to make green ammonia, and finally to make green urea using carbon neutral sources of carbon dioxide. So what we do is we work on catalytic water splitting, hydrogen from wastewater, biohydrogen, and once we make hydrogen, we have to store that. So we have storage options, and we have sensors that are capable of detecting the leaks in hydrogen. So groups in CSI NIST is working on this. Another aspect is biofuels. When we talk about energy, so biofuels means, ethanol is a very good fuel. If we can mix ethanol with our diesel. Ethanol is also, these biofuels are also good candidates for aviation fuels. It has a huge market. The rate is estimated to be around 45% yearly. The huge market is driven by a lot of things. One is, of course, pollution. We know normal fossil fuels, diesel, petrol, kerosene, these produce a lot of carbon dioxide when ignited. So Niti Aayog came up with a roadmap that tells that we should blend biofuels into our normal diesel. So EX means X percentage of the fuel will be biofuel. So E20 means 20% of the fuel will be biofuel. It can be second generation biofuel, third generation biofuel. So depending on the mixing, we can have different grades of biofuels. So the roadmap that was given was that we have to make by middle of next year E20 available to public use. So E20 means 20% of diesel will be this biofuel. So which means that the energy efficiency will increase, and at the same time the emissions will go down. So this is the idea of, and the roadmap has been put forward by Niti Aayog. So what we have in CSIR NIST is the first public sector 2G ethanol pilot plant, and we have developed indigenous enzymes that can create ethanol from agro residues. So this is in line with the biomass to fuel G1 mission of the government of India, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Yojana. So this plant is available, and we have now capabilities to produce 2G ethanol from spent agro residues, 2G ethanol. So these are common things. Now we'll come back to our topic, which is more about the energy efficiency concept. So several methods are available to generate energy. Several methods are available to store energy. Now, if any amount of energy may be available, but if we don't use the energy wisely, then what happens is that how much energy we produce, it will not be enough. It will not be sufficient. So even with small amount of energy, if we use it efficiently, then there is a probability that we need lesser energy to survive. So if we take buildings in general, and if we take the energy consumption, we can see that total out, if 100% energy is totally available to a building, whatever we produce, let's take it 100%. All energy is available to everywhere. Buildings can use, industries can use, transportations can use, anywhere it can be used. So if we calculate now or look at the estimated values across the globe, these are global values, global numbers. 28% of total energy produced used for transportation. 32% is used for industrial purposes. 5% miscellaneous here and there, it is being used. Lighting and so on, street lights, so on. Now, if we take the remaining 35%, the 35% of the energy produced across the globe is used in buildings. 8% in commercial buildings, 22% in residential buildings, and 5% in construction. This is the 35%. So buildings actually consume more energy than transportation. It consumes more energy than industrial applications. So the 35% of energy that we produce across the globe is consumed by buildings. Now, if we further subdivide it, let's compare this consumption to emission. 28% consumption by transport industry, but the emission is only 23%. 100% emission altogether across the globe, 23% contribution is from transport sector. 32% consumption by industrial applications. Same, 32% of the emission is also from industries. Other sectors contribute to 7%. And now buildings contribute to 38% emissions across the globe. 38% emissions. Buildings consume 35% of energy, but accounts for 38% of emissions across the globe. So now if we want to put it in a perspective, we need energy efficient buildings. If energy efficient buildings are not available, then most probably we cannot have energy efficient future. We already told that 35% of energy is consumed by buildings. That accounts for 36 to 38% of carbon dioxide emissions. And now when we talk about energy, this includes our gas, this includes our petrol, electricity, everything. So let's leave out everything. Let's take electricity alone. 76% of the electricity produced in the world is consumed by buildings. Not 20, not 30, not 50. 3/4 of the whole electricity produced in the globe is consumed by buildings. So what is the benefit that we can have in terms of energy efficient buildings? Energy efficient buildings requires a few things that we'll discuss as we come along. These buildings have an initial higher cost to create them because we need additional components, we need additional architecture, we need additional planning. So there is an initial additional cost. And if we take a building lifetime to be somewhere between 30 to 80 years, energy efficient buildings will save a lot in terms of long-term cost and carbon credits. Conventional buildings, these two will just increase, maintenance charges will increase, you need to pay electricity bills that will increase day by day. You need to keep your heating, lighting, cooling, ventilation. That will increase. Your electricity bill will go on rising. Your cooking bills will go on rising. The amount of carbon dioxide that you produce, that the buildings produce in general, will go on increasing. But the energy efficient buildings, say within, let's say around 40 to 50 years, will become carbon neutral. No more carbon dioxide emissions will happen from that. It will be, however, it was before, the same amount. So, and the long-term cost, if you think about, for example, if you have a solar panel, initially you will have to pay for the solar panel installation, but over time you will have some sort of benefits in terms of your electricity bills. So this graph summarizes the benefits of having energy efficient buildings. Now let us look what we have been working on. So I will not take you to too much of R&D work, but very simple thing. So we are more into materials. So we make materials that are called smart materials. So now what is so smart about materials? Before going into that, let's look into a scale of smartness. The scale of smartness is defined in such a way that at each point you can define what is the smartness of that particular entity. So if we look at the prehistoric era, where there were primates, or let's say things that could not think and react, we call most of these to come in the troll, stupid or dumb. They cannot think, they cannot take decisions. And then came these people who could, the systems or the entities that could think to some extent, but could not take decision or could not take wise decisions or right decisions. We call them foolish. And then came the trivial state. The trivial state is something that is not at all special. Something will happen because it has to happen. So that kind of a trivial nature. And then came the sensible ones. They used to think, used to take wise decisions, but they cannot go beyond that. And then enters the smart or the intelligent entities. And we human beings consider ourselves as intelligent. We can think, we can take wise decisions, and we can change our course of action. And among the human beings, we still have a superior category that we call wise or genius. So this is what in terms of how we define smartness in terms of a scale. Now in terms of materials, we can have materials that are smart, that cannot think by itself, but that can respond to some changes in its environment. So we have a series of materials that are called functional materials, responsive materials, and smart materials. Functional materials is the largest class that will return a function. Every material will have a function. We use wood to burn. Once it is burned, we get heat. So that is the function of firewood. We have another material. We have cement that we put on the wall to make it strong. That is a function. So we have materials that will return a function that we call the functional materials. A subclass of functional materials is the stimuli responsive materials. So that will return a function, but only under application of an external stimulus. The best example is the touch me not plant. We touch it, it falls. Later, it comes back. So this is what we call responsive materials. And now a subclass of responsive materials is what we call smart materials. These are functional materials that are responsive, but the response should be in such a way that we can trace the response, we can measure the response, and the response should be fully reversible. It should be traceable, should be measurable, and should be fully reversible under external stimulation. So if you have to define smart materials in a single sentence, a smart material is one which will react to its change in its environment all by itself. So now, if we look at smart materials, you can have any number of smart materials. We can have, so anything, any property will change according to the application of an external stimulus. For example, if you heat something, it can increase its volume. And when it becomes cold, it can come back to the previous state. If you apply a pressure, it can change its shape. The elastic band, you stretch it, you apply a pressure, a rubber band, it comes back to its previous shape once you release it. So this is what we call some sort of a smart property. So it can be a change in any physico-chemical property in response to any applied stimulus, and accordingly we can have a large number of smart materials, large type of smart materials. So it can cause change in volume, shape, color, viscosity. If you apply temperature, electric current, light, heat, and accordingly you can have smart materials, the shape memory alloys that will remember its shape, chromogenic materials that will change its color and brings back to the same color after maybe heat or light, piezoelectric, you apply a pressure, it will conduct electricity, pH responsive materials, self-healing materials, and so on. And what we are working on these kind of smart materials, their coatings and their devices. So we work with electrochromic materials that responds to electricity, and that can be used as smart windows. We'll see some examples as we go along. We work with thermoresponsive materials. We work with supramolecular polymers. We work with some smart gels and frameworks. We convert them into non-wettable coatings, and we also do some sort of electron and mass transfer using these systems. We'll take, in view of time, we'll take only one type of examples today, that is chromogenic materials. So chromogenic materials means chromism is the phenomena in which we can produce or change color when light is interacting with matter or materials. Such materials that are capable of changing their color in response to an external stimulus is what we call chromogenic materials. And we talked about smart materials. We saw a classification there. The chromogenic materials can also be classified into n number of classes. You prefix any stimulus with before chromism. So take chromism. Chromism means change in color. You put some stimulus before that. That will become a particular chromogenic system. If you take heat, heat is thermal, thermochromism. Light is photochromism. Current is electricity, electrochromism. You take magnetic field, magnetochromism. You take ions, ionochromism. pH, halochromism. Mechanical force, mechanochromism. Ionizing radiations, you get ionochromism. So you vaporchromism, solvent, solvatochromism. You prefix chromism with any stimulus, that will give you that. So you have a large number of chromogenic systems, but today we look at two examples that we work on in our lab. One is thermochromism and the other is electrochromism. So thermochromism or electrochromism, this is what we say, it should be traceable, measurable, and reversible. So if some material changes its color, it's chromism, so change in color in such a way that the change in color is traceable. We know what was before, we know what is now. Measurable, how much of the color changes, and reversible. It should go back to the previous state by application of a stimulus. Stimulus can be electricity, then that is called electrochromism. Stimulus is temperature or heat, then that is called thermochromism. So when we say change in color, the change in color can be the change in any optical properties. So it can go from a transparent state to a colored state, or from a colored state to a transparent state. It can go from between two colored states, multiple colored states, or it can go from transparent and opaque states. No change in color, but transparency can change. Any such things can happen. And accordingly, they have a lot of applications. One is smart windows that we'll discuss in detail. They can be used as smart mirrors. The new generation high-end cars come up with now electrochromic self-dimming smart mirrors. If there is light falling on that, there is a sensor that will activate this mirror. Immediately what will happen? We see the glare from the rear view mirror. Immediately the glass will dim by itself so that we will not get the glare. So smart mirrors are there. There are e-displays, electronic papers, e-skins, charge state indicators, sunglasses. All those are available using these kind of smart materials. And why is this important for us? So you see a building on the left hand side. So this is from a research study. When we consider a building, we think that which part of the building is exposed to light and heat the most? The roof and then the walls. These are the parts that are exposed to light and heat. So if we now consider a building to be inefficient in terms of energy, that means that we need external sources of light. We need to spend a lot of electricity on lighting. We also need, if it is in a colder region, we need heating. If it is in a hotter region, we need cooling. So these things will impact a lot on the energy efficiency. And if the building is not efficient, then that means that we need to spend a lot of energy to heat or cool the building or to light up the building. This is what is the role of building in the energy efficient scenario. Now, as we said before, buildings account for 76% of the whole electricity, and cooling, air conditioning alone accounts for 40% of the total energy used by buildings across the world. So almost half of the energy that is supplied to the buildings is used for cooling alone. So if we have to have net zero energy building, then we need energy efficient buildings. Now, such a building, a real building, this is a thermal map of a real building. And since we know that most of the sunlight falls on the roof or on the walls, we probably think that, and this has the largest area of the building. And we probably think that since this is the largest area, the walls and the roof should account for the maximum heat to enter inside, or the maximum heat to vacate out of the building, to go out of the building. This study has shown that whatever you see in blue in this are typically low or less heat exchange during a whole year, and whatever you see in red is what experienced a larger heat exchange during a full year, which means that the doors and the windows are actually responsible for, you see the area compared. The roof is too huge, the wall area is too huge, but still the small glass installation, a small area that is probably less than 10 to 20% of the whole area is what is responsible for heat exchange to and from the building. So if we can make these glass installations somewhat control the heat exchange or light exchange, then if there is a heater inside, you can switch off after some time because the glass will prevent heat to go out from going outside. If it is here hot outside, you switch on the AC for some time, and after some time the glass can prevent the heat rays from outside to enter the building. If we can make in such a way, that would be the best example of an energy efficient building. And this is what we call smart management in indoor energy utilization to have energy efficient buildings. One option to have the design. So if you want light, you put it in such a direction. You design the building in such a direction that the natural light will enter. You put it in such a direction, there are directions available for placing the solar panels. So the same way you construct your building, you design your building such a way that natural light and heat are available. Second is you use components in the building, let's say solar cells, that will produce electricity, a thermoelectric generator that will produce again electricity from waste heat, a piezoelectric generator, you can have your floors completely made of piezoelectric materials. When you walk on the floor, that can produce electricity. So these kind of components, or one such component is the smart windows. The smart windows, as we said, the glass is responsible for largest heat exchange to and from the building. So somehow if you can make that smart such that it will not allow heat to enter when not required, or will not allow heat to leave when not required, then that could be the best example of a component-wise design of energy efficient buildings. And this glass windows will make it, I'll show you some examples as we go along. Glass windows will not only make it aesthetically beautiful, it will dynamically modulate the transmission of light and heat that will impact a lot on the energy that is used for lighting or cooling within the building. And now we said that we have to give it some energy, some electricity has to be supplied. And according to the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, which means that whatever energy we give should be stored in there. And once it switches back to the previous state, we can use the stored energy and use it for lighting applications and so on. So this whole concept is based on a simple concept, that is, whatever energy we save is equivalent to the energy produced. So I'll just show one structure. So these are the kinds of materials that we are looking at. We are not going to discuss this in detail. These kind of framework materials that we work on. And you can see on the figures here, we can have these materials coated on glass, and that will give different colors. If you apply electricity, it will go to an yellow color. If you reverse bias it, it goes back to the previous color. So you can have different shades of purple going to yellow and back. Huge optical contrast, 76% optical contrast. And you see the switching time on the right hand side. This switches in less than a second. In most cases, 2 seconds maximum. They are very stable, 1000 switchings and almost no degradation. You can not only make smart windows of that kind, you can also make different patterns. If you want your windows to have patterns like you have curtains and so on, you can make curtains. And using these kind of systems in a model building, we have shown that you can reduce the indoor temperature by 33.5 degrees centigrade, which means if the outside temperature is 35 degrees, the indoor temperature can be maintained something around 31.5 degrees. 3.5 degrees reduction in temperature can be obtained. And this is the color change that is happening as you see here. It's very fast. It switches its color uniformly. And then you can see that the system is reproducible. As I said, now the question comes, we are producing electricity. We are giving some electricity for it to change the class. You see in the previous slide, we need some voltage, 1.3 volt or 0.8 volt, which is like a battery. A single battery is enough. So this energy is required. So what is the point? This energy, we are giving energy to save some temperature. Then why can't we use electricity? Air conditioning. So to answer that, we took the same system. This is exactly the same system. And what we have shown that this can work as a supercapacitor also. This the same system that we just saw now, that changes its color and reduces the indoor temperature, it can store all that energy that we give. And this system has a record efficiency for a metal organic material, a huge volumetric capacitance of 866.2 farads per centimeter cube with no degradation after 10,000 cycles of continuous operation. So this shows that whatever energy we are given, then we can take back this energy. We can store it in a supercapacitor or in a battery and use it for lighting or other applications. Those are not the only colors that we can make. We can make color neutral systems. Earlier you saw something that changes from purple to yellow and back. Shades of purple to yellow and back. We can have multicolored systems. We can have a black colored system that goes to red through a purple color. We can have a ground state red colored system that goes through a darker brick red to black color as well. We can make them into flexible systems for roll-to-roll processing. And we can control this by just using small amounts of water as well. So now that was one example that I wanted to discuss. Again, here also we are not going to look at the systems anymore, but this is now a simple solution state system. you can see that with the